Good morning, Denver. It's 6 a.m. Tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show, 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes a little crazy. It's going to be a great day in the Mile High City, and we're gearing up for a whole morning of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. It's going to be an absolutely fire show today. Alliance Defending Freedom is going to join us in just a minute on a U.S. Supreme Court case that's being argued today. The state of Idaho versus the United States of America. Has to do with abortion. We're going to get those details and more from Alliance Defending Freedom in just a second. Representative Ty Winner joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. Have you seen this list that Colorado Democrats are providing to Colorado Republicans on words they cannot say from the well?
Words you can't say.
And then they gavel them down when they try to save them. No, you can't say that word. Some of those words being things like illegal immigrant.
Yeah. So. You know, I was surprised that it wasn't on the list. America and Republican. I was surprised those weren't on the list, honestly. When I looked at the list, I'm like, really? I thought if they're going to do this, might as well. You might as well. Yeah, you might as well throw in Trump as well, you know, just because. I mean, if we're going to ban words, let's just go for all of them. Why not?
That's right.
Oh,
that's right. So Ty Winner in the 7 o'clock hour, and then Gay Ribble will be joining us in the 9 o'clock hour to take your calls and text about the housing industry and how things are going, how real estate's doing these days in the state of Colorado. So we've got a great show, all the news to talk about, what's happening on Ivy League college campuses. We'll give you an update as well as an update on the Trump trials, because those continue. Arguments made yesterday as to whether or not Donald Trump violated the gag order. No decision made yet, but we'll give you an update on that as well. So stick around, tune in for the entire show. It's going to be a great one today. Let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Bill. Hump day, 42 and clear in Denver. Expecting highs in the mid-70s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, President Biden preparing to sign a new foreign aid bill. The bill going into law here soon, Tuesday. Becoming law.
$100 billion.
100 billion. I mean, why not just make it 100? Really? 95. I mean, what's the difference at this point? Tuesday, the Senate passed the $95 billion emergency deal, which goes to Ukraine. I think 60 billion. Correct? Yeah. Israel and Taiwan, right? And then the Indo-Pacific. The bill also laid the groundwork to ban the social media app TikTok in the U.S. However, the southern border remains wide open. And during all this, Biden is Biden.
Talking about that this election is a basic old-fashioned election. It's about getting out the votes. It's about putting together campaigns the old-fashioned way. Not that we don't use all the technology available, but just everything from knocking on doors to putting up road signs to make sure that we get people to the polls, all those things. And, it's we there's some animating issues, obviously. Choice is one of the biggest ones.
Man, he is so inspiring. Early this morning, Columbia University said the Hamas supporters agreed to remove some tents to make non-student protesters leave and to bar harassing language directed at Jews and other students, delaying possible police action for 48 hours. A gun control measure passed by the Colorado legislature is on its way to Governor Polis's desk. The bill would require gun owners to get more training before they can legally carry a concealed firearm.
Those are the people we have problems with.
Yeah,
the law-abiding concealed carry people. So let's just add a few hours of training to them, please.
Yeah,
inconvenience their lives for your little agenda.
Nice scheme. They're doing a great job. Wildlife officials say one of the, speaking of wolves, and wildlife officials say one of the 10 wolves reintroduced into Colorado from Oregon has been found dead in Larimer County. CPW says initial evidence suggests the wolf likely died of natural causes. Colorado
Oh,
dealing
man.
with a disaster emergency over the U.S. Route 50 closure. Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera made the declaration to support repairs in Gunnison County. The bridge over the Blue Mesa Res shut down last week at Dillon Pinnacles after a safety inspection found cracks in the structure. Detours are up to 7 hours long, but a bypass opened Monday for local travel only. That has to be a mess. The one of the brothers of Nuggets star Nikola Jokic allegedly punched a fan at Ball Arena. I don't know if you guys saw this.
That was
Man.
nuts.
Oh
What was
my God.
that?
Let me tell you something. Someone's getting a
Nuggets
payday.
Fight Club. Yeah.
So he took a hit, and that's a big dude.
Oh yeah, and he's taking a
yeah.
payday. And the question I've got is, the NBA is doing an investigation.
Right.
Normally, in situations like that, there's a ban from the arena involved. Would the NBA have the stones to ban one or both of the Jokic brothers from the arena, either short term or long term? This is going to be interesting.
If it were David Stern, I would say yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about this commission.
Yeah, I don't know either. And it was, and if it was you or me that
did.
hit somebody, Blake, we'd be suspended.
Oh,
They wouldn't let us back in the arena ever.
Let me tell you something. That is a lot of weight and strength behind that punch. I'm surprised that guy stood up. Yeah, he took it. I don't know if it was a Lakers fan or a disgruntled Nuggets fan or a drunk fan, or if the brother was drunk. Who knows? But dude,
I still like just the walk up bonk. I mean, there wasn't any. I mean, obviously they're going back and forth with John beforehand, but he just walks up and bonk. You're like,
and I don't know if it was brutal. I don't know if it was Jokic's wife or someone in the family. You could see her turn and go, oh, no.
Yeah. Go, yeah. She's like, we're going to be on the news. This is not good.
If you're family or friends, don't ruin the greatness on the court. I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, if you go to the Nuggets game, you see Dan Campbell's Law everywhere, and I'm sure. The first call that guy made was to Dan Campbell's Law.
Absolutely.
I would have had it right there. Press that speed dial to Dan, no doubt. All right, it's 37 in Boulder, 39 in Parker, 42 in Denver. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills. Locally owned and operated since 1954. Online at lairfireplacepatio.com. Avalanche tied their series at 1 apiece with a victory over Winnipeg last night, 5-2. They return home for Game 3 Friday. Nuggets Game 3. In LA tomorrow, opening round series, of course. Denver leads 2-0. Brendan Rodgers belted a fourth inning grand slam, and the Rockies beat the Padres 7-4 Tuesday. Back tonight at Coors Field for another one against San Diego. CU losing their best running back, Dylan Edwards, enters the portal. Man, he is fun to watch. I really like watching him. Leading rusher in 23, so he's entered the portal. They recruited another, great running back.
Yeah.
Evidently he didn't like that. So, can't make anyone happy.
That's
it's
true.
The minor league professional minor sports football. Big Five, Power Five, NCAA,
every
craziness.
conference, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, whatever's going on. All right, Jeff and Bill continue. We have kicked off Hump Day. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for temperatures to be quite mild today and tomorrow. Then we're going to cool off for Friday and the weekend with some shower and thunderstorm chances. Today it'll be partly cloudy, mid to upper 70s. Lows tonight, mid to upper 40s. There will be a chance of an isolated shower thunderstorm towards late afternoon and evening. Mid-70s Thursday, breezy. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms lingering into Thursday night. A cooling trend with scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Meteorologist Don Day, 710 KNUS.
All right, speaking of good attorneys, Gabriella McIntyre from Alliance Defending Freedom joins us. They've got a case being argued before the U.S. Supreme Court today Idaho, the state of Idaho versus United States of America, whether the Biden administration can manipulate federal law to override Idaho's law that protects life. Gabriella, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So
Good
give us an overview of what this case is all about and why is it important? Why is it at the U.S. Supreme Court?
Sure. So Idahoans, through their elected representatives, took the Supreme Court at its word when it stated that the issue of abortion was going to be returned back to the people and its elected representatives. And they did so through their elected representatives by passing the Defense of Life Act. And this act protects the lives of women and unborn children by preventing doctors from performing abortions unless it's necessary to save the life of the mother. But in August of 2022, the Biden administration sued Idaho and claimed that it could use a federal law, as you mentioned, the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act, it's kind of a mouthful, or EMTALA, to override Idaho's law and force the state emergency room doctors to perform abortions against state law. But here's the rub, is that both Idaho's law and EMTALA, they don't conflict. They both seek to protect the lives of women and their unborn children. EMTALA doesn't even mention abortion once in the statute, and indeed actually mentions protections for unborn children at least 4 times. But the Biden administration is manipulating EMTALA and trying to essentially reimpose a federal abortion mandate where none exists in this federal law.
Let's talk a little bit about the arguments on your side. What is the state of Idaho arguing, and what do they hope the U.S. Supreme Court will do in a decision on your side?
Yeah, so the main argument here is EMTALA and Idaho's Defense of Life Act, they don't conflict. EMTALA only requires hospitals to offer treatments that are available in the state. It does not impose a national standard of care, which is what the Biden administration is trying to interpret this law to do. Again, it doesn't mention abortion anywhere, any specific treatment anywhere in the federal law. That is reserved specifically to the states through their police powers. And so EMTALA takes those standards of care as it finds them and uses that quote unquote menu of care to as a backdrop essentially for what is available at those hospitals. And really it was passed as just an anti-patient dumping statute. So that just means that indigent patients who can't pay for care, they are to be given the same care as somebody who comes into the hospital for stabilizing treatment in an emergency situation who can pay. And so it uses that backdrop of the menu of options for stabilizing care available to both indigent and paying patients and says, well, you just can't offer different ones to both, but you're still using the backdrop of what's available under state law. And in Idaho, abortion is not an available stabilizing treatment except to save the life of the mother.
It's interesting to me, the Biden administration, as opposed to some elements of conservatives, not all of them, some conservatives do want a national ban on abortion, want those types of federal restrictions. Others are saying, no, let's go to the states and let the states decide, that type of thing. The Biden administration, on the other hand, though, is saying we're going to use every tool in our tool case to try to force states to become pro-choice, even if they don't want to. Is that essentially how they're using EMTALA?
It is. It's an unlawful, basically a use of executive fiat to try to override this state law. And that's contrary to what the Supreme Court said in the Dobbs case, that the issue of abortion was being given back to the people and its elected representatives.
Is the Biden administration, just from their perspective, going, look, these laws, these state-based laws are restrictive. They're going to harm women that are seeking maybe some type of emergency care, and they've got to get an abortion to protect the health of the mother. Does the Idaho law prevent that from taking place? Is the argument from the Biden administration, just put yourself in their perspective for a second, is what they're saying that we've got to force these states to provide this type of care in order to save the life of a mother?
Well, Idaho's law does does have that exception to save the life of the mother. So that's absolutely not true, even from the Biden administration's perspective. And the Biden administration has offered no evidence of a situation where an abortion is the only possible stabilizing treatment for a mother that's facing any non-life-threatening medical treatment. So as I said, Idaho law allows abortions that, in the good faith medical judgment of the doctor, are necessary to save the life of the mother. So the Biden administration's interpretation would far broaden that to any subjective, the subjective judgment of the doctor, rather than the confines of the standards of care set by state law.
So what will this ultimately do? Will it allow states to be able to make their decisions with regards to life, and that the federal government can't intervene using laws that aren't necessarily passed for that purpose? Is that what, if a decision goes in your way, this is what the end result will be?
Well, this decision will allow Idaho and the 22 other states that have passed similar pro-life legislation to use its authority, its autonomy that was given to it by the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court overruled Roe versus Wade and gave that decision back to the states, or back to the people and its elected representatives, which includes the states. And so this would preserve the laws of those 22 pro-life states, at least with respect to EMTALA. And again, these two laws do not conflict. So of course, the Biden administration cannot use a law that doesn't mention abortion to try to reimpose a federal mandate on abortion on the states by manipulating that law to try to do so.
Gabriella McIntyre, legal counsel with Alliance Defending Freedom, joined Jeff and Bill this morning. I like where you just went with that one, and I want you to try to help me understand that a little bit more. I'm at this, I guess you'd say, mental roadblock, and I can't figure out the Biden administration claim that EMTALA and the abortion law inside of Idaho are in conflict, and when in conflict, the EMTALA has to take priority. What I'm having a difficult time understanding is why the Biden administration would claim EMTALA takes precedence because of life of the mother, but the life of the mother is an exception inside of the Idaho law. I'm having such a hard time understanding how the Biden administration is coming to this conclusion and why they feel the federal government has the ability to come in and tell a state what it should do when it's already passed its own law. What do you think the Biden administration's strongest arguments are going to be in front of the Supreme Court? As I'm sure that you've game planned these, you've been working on the team. What are you planning to defend against? Because I have a hard time figuring out what the hell they're going to argue in the first place. What do you think they're going to come at you with?
Well, of course, they're going to try to manufacture this conflict by pointing to the language of the law. They're going to try to say that it mandates abortions because abortions need to be stabilizing care in certain circumstances. But again, EMTALA merely requires hospitals to provide stabilizing treatment in a non-discriminatory manner. It's an anti-patient dumping statute. It does not impose a national standard of care. The states determine that standard of care. And so EMTALA restricts the hospital's treatment obligation to just those treatments that are available at the hospital itself. It does not override state regulation of medicine, and it's a complete manipulation. Your confusion is warranted. It's a complete manipulation of the statute.
Oh, good. That just seems like a complete manipulation. And I think you're absolutely right and accurate that they're trying to backdoor this because given the argument of the administration, EMTALA and the abortion law work together as intended. In fact, as the administration is arguing they should work. That's the weirdest part, is I can't figure out. You're going to have to let us know what they come at you guys with, because I can't figure out what the hell they come to the table with and try to argue this. It's really weird.
Who's providing oral arguments on the side of Idaho, and who's providing oral arguments on the side of the United States?
I'm actually not exactly sure. I think Josh Turner, I think is his name, is providing arguments on the side of the state of Idaho. I'm not sure. I think it would be the Solicitor General on the side of the United States, but that remains to be seen. I'm not a part of the case team, and so I guess that's something that we'll all find out together this morning.
It is, if you're a little nerd of history like I am, it's like a boxing match if you listen to the oral arguments, because in many ways it's totally unique. They'll get up there and start to make kind of opening statements, but almost immediately the justices jump in with questions, and they have to defend their positions or poke or prod on different areas in this. I'm looking over at American Progress's page about Idaho versus the United States, and the argument coming from the left is that the Dobbs case has created widespread chaos and confusion as it relates to how physicians serve a woman facing a life-threatening issue, an abortion, whether or not going to be prosecuted, that type of thing. But to your point, Gabriella, that this law provides those types of opt-outs already. The Idaho law provides that when a woman is facing a life-threatening situation, that a doctor, an emergency room doctor, can perform an abortion to save the life of the woman. So in many ways, it seems like the Biden administration is trying to force upon the country, which I think they want to do. And they've said over and over and over again that they do not believe that this is a states' rights issue. They would put Roe v. Wade back into practice via federal legislation if they could. And they're trying to use any possible potential angle to try to force that back upon states that want to be more pro-life. So we'll have to watch this. Gabriella, I mean, your sense, you're an attorney, where do you think the U.S. Supreme Court's going to go on this? I know you can't make total predictions, but do you all have a favorable belief that this is going to go in your direction?
Well, I certainly hope so. It seems just so clear from the clear text of the statute why it was enacted and the 40-year history behind the statute that it's never been interpreted by any circuit court to impose a national standard of care or to impose specifically abortion on the states as a stabilizing treatment. And so again, we're just really hoping that the Supreme Court will see that these two laws, the Defense of Life Act in Idaho and EMTALA, do not conflict.
Which would allow states to be able to make up their minds on this. You work on the pro-life cause. I think, Bill, I don't know where you stand on whether or not this can continue to remain a state's issue. I don't think it can. I think that I think America historically has to come to terms with these big moral issues. It doesn't just allow one state or the other to, kind of operate when people have very big differences when it comes to these moral issues. So I understand that in this moment of time, there's states that want to go one direction, states that want to go the other direction. But I think at a certain point, there's going to, the nation itself is going to have to decide whether or not it's a child that deserves legal protections at the moment of conception, or it's not. And we're going to go back to the way it's been for the last 50 or 60 years. But I don't know, Gabrielle, do you think that states can continue to just make kind of their own decisions on this? Or do you think eventually it's going to become a national question that has to be answered?
Well, certainly the hope is that hearts and minds will eventually be changed to the point where there can be a national consensus that, at the moment of conception, this is an unborn human being. This is a human being deserving of the full protection of the law. And a lot of states are moving in the right direction on that. But yeah, that certainly is the hope. I'm not sure what will happen, honestly. This is new territory since Roe versus Wade has been overturned. And certainly the hope is that these states will be able to continue to protect life at the fullest extent that it is able to under the laws of their states.
Gabriella McIntyre, legal counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom, oral arguments today, State of Idaho versus United States of America, the U.S. Supreme Court continuing to have to weigh in on these abortion issues. Thanks for giving us insight. Thanks for being on the Jeff and Bill Show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I don't know if it'll be a 9-0 decision, but it seems to me in this case that the Biden administration is trying to shoehorn something into the law that isn't there.
Yeah.
So even if you do kind of a neutral reading of the law, you're like, look, if they want to provide legal protections for abortion at the federal level to clarify laws throughout all 50 states, you're going to have to do it through Congress. I don't think you can do it through EMTALA.
No, I don't think so. And I think that the Biden administration believes in it. That's absolutely the direction that it should go. And they should be making that question. I think your question, I didn't want to interrupt with Gabriella there because I didn't want to draw her necessarily into the conversation. I didn't think that's, yeah, I know. Because the idea of should it be, a national question? And that brings me back to the original Dobbs decision. Is whether or not I agreed or disagreed with the Dobbs decision, the thing that really, really ticked me off was the celebration on the conservative side going, finally, it's a states' rights issue. This is what we've wanted all along. I'm throwing the BS flag. That is not what you've wanted all along. No way, shape, or no. They have that side, the pro-life side has wanted a national abortion ban. That is the golden chalice. That's it. So the idea that after the decision, it was, oh, finally, we got what we wanted. Finally, this is what we wanted. The states get to choose. No, that wasn't what you wanted. You do want a national abortion ban. And while the pro-life people, the pro-abortion side people want a national pro-abortion law as well. They liked Roe versus Wade. Everybody on both sides wants it to be national. That was the part of the entire thing with Dobbs that ticked me off. This falsity about we're finally letting the states choose. No.
So you have people within the conservative movement that believe very strongly in states' rights.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
They want state by state to be able to make a decision on this. What many of the rest of us wanted in the fall of Roe v. Wade was for the people to be able to develop law themselves. So the people, now that people could be state-based and it could be federally based, but we wanted the people to be able to decide.
And that's dangerous because based on polling for decades, if you make it a national question, there's going to be a right to abortion. It's just how it's going to shake out.
So
if you make it a national question.
Or law, because those are different. If it's a right to abortion, it's a constitutional amendment, and I don't think that's ever going to get in there.
It might. I don't know. I mean, the idea being, eventually you will be able to. There will be a national abortion law if you wanted to take it national, it would pass. If you want to take a national abortion ban and take it to the voters, that would fail. That's what polling has told us for decades.
That's the
difficulty.
At this point. But also, too, I mean, look at, I think conservatives looked at civil unions within the gay marriage movement as, you don't really want civil unions. You want gay marriage. And you're moving your issue forward step by step by step.
And see, and I would disagree with that because once we had civil unions, I didn't see any push from the gay community to force churches into a marriage ceremony. There have been individuals that have done it, but the entire community didn't push the church or any church to say, you now have to give us the same ceremonies that you do for the heterosexuals.
Yeah, but if the critique was that the pro-life movement ultimately doesn't want states' rights, they want a national pro-life ban, you're just, you're incrementally moving, but what you really want is a national abortion ban. You could say the same thing about the LGBT movement, that it was incremental. What they ultimately wanted was the redefinition of marriage.
I disagree because we haven't necessarily had the redefinition of a religious marriage. Civil, yes, but we've always had two definitions between civil and religious. That's been universal. We've had that since Jump Street. That civil unions between either heterosexuals and heterosexuals in the church are different. They've been treated differently from get-go. And so that's it. And then so basically it was just the LGBTQ community wanted the same access to rights that you can get by having a civil marriage recognized by the state. That's all it was.
Yeah,
and they haven't gone
that's
any
where
further.
I disagree. I think they actually want the full redefinition of marriage, which, by the way, they're going to do at the state capitol. They're seeking that. State recognized marriage is different than religious marriage.
Until you show me them pushing for religion.
Marriage is marriage.
No.
Because there's a single definition of marriage.
No, but how the state recognizes it is different than how the church.
Of marriage.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
No.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, you do. When you stand up in front of God and your friends and make these promises, that's different than having a civil marriage as the state. In the state, there are consequences for the religious marriage. The state marriage, you can have two people that just met each other that afternoon, apply for a civil marriage license.
Right.
They don't have to live in the same state. They don't have to even sleep with each other ever. They can go out and be whores with whoever they want to, and as long as they have
I think that's a problem.
As far as they have a couple of established things like they buy some assets together, they have an established bank account, they're treated as a marriage. In fact, if you live together long enough in the state of Colorado, they'll treat you as a marriage, regardless of whether or not
marriage.
I know.
I think
so. The idea that they're trying to get to that marriage, the religious thing, I disagree with. I think they're fine with having access to laws, just like every other heterosexual couple would have, regardless of religious belief in the state. That's it.
I think there's a problem when the state doesn't reflect the true definition of marriage. All right, we'll continue this conversation. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. Gabriella McIntyre, Alliance Defending Freedom, joining us in light of a U.S. Supreme Court oral arguments taking place today, state of Idaho versus United States of America, whether or not the Biden administration can use the Emergency Medical Treatment and Active Labor Act to force emergency room doctors to perform abortions that are illegal under Idaho law. U.S. Supreme Court continuing to have to jump into this issue. Where does this go on this abortion issue? Can you have state by state by state by state making these decisions? I don't think America allows the country to do that. I think it forces big moral questions up and tries to settle them as a country. It did so with issues like slavery as well. So give me a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the 710 KNUS app. It's Jeff from the Jeff and Bill Show for my friends at the Mountain High Appliance. Hurry in now and check out their Get the Look sales event. Now, for a limited time, you can receive up to a $3,000 rebate with the purchase of select GE Cafe appliances. Enjoy Mountain High Appliance price match guarantee and special financing offers. See the store for details and experience the difference at one of Mountain High Appliance 4 locations in Denver at East 64th, Littleton, Louisville, and Glenwood Springs. We'll continue with your calls and texts. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in London, I'm Julia Chapman, and here are the top stories we're following. President Biden is set to sign off a $95 billion foreign aid package after it was approved by the Senate last night. There was significant bipartisan support for the bill, which senators passed by 79 votes to 18 after a long journey in Congress. The bill will provide weapons and funding to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed gratitude for the $61 billion that has now been unlocked for Ukraine, with fresh weapons expected in the country in a matter of days. President Biden says the legislation will make the U.S. more secure as it allows allies to defend themselves. The White House says Russia's detention of a U.S. reporter is a sham. Haley Bianco reports.
The United States is unhappy with Russia's latest rejection of an appeal from an imprisoned journalist. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich will remain jailed on espionage charges until at least late June. This comes after a Moscow court rejected his appeal that sought to end his pre-trial detention. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby called it a sham process and said Gershkovich is not a spy, he's not a criminal. Gershkovich was detained more than a year ago.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Julia Chapman in London on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill show. The text lines are definitely filling up, which we appreciate. Arguing there is a difference between religious marriage and civil marriage. My question back is, all right, tell me how you define civil marriage. And what do you base that definition on?
The state.
Okay, so what does the state base its definition on?
The state makes it a contractual relationship between two adults, and they get access to a certain set of laws, certain set of protections, and there are certain rules that then govern their life. And there are certain things that happen when that compact, that partnership is dissolved, and that's basically all it does. It governs those rules. That's what.
So why doesn't it define friendship?
I don't think you need to enter into a contractual relationship of friendship. There's not access to laws based on friendship, which is different based on marriage. There are things like inheritance. There are things on medical care, access to them when they're maybe in an emergency room, power of attorney, stuff like that transfers naturally inside of a civil marriage that doesn't in friendship, nor should it.
So the argument is that it's an institution.
Or you're in an institution, one of the two. And I've been married for over 25 years, so I get to say that.
Right. So it's not a friendship; it's an institution. There's something bigger happening in a marriage than a friendship.
Sure.
And so the state has a role in what with regards to that institution?
The state has a role in deciding how they want to support that institution, or create it. That's it. Yeah. There's no religion involved there, though.
No, but look, if marriage is so from my perspective, marriage is the institution by which future citizens are created.
Well,
that's why the state has an interest in it.
I would disagree, because childbirth and childbearing isn't mandatory, so it doesn't.
No, it's not. It's not. But that's the role that's the point of it. And if you remove marriage from childbearing, which is what your definition has done, I think it creates lots of other ancillary problems with that. But you got to define marriage upon something. Why 2 people? Why not 3 people?
Well,
why not 4 people?
Here's the thing:
why not a mother and her son? Why not? So we create definitions around marriage all the time. My question is, what is the basis for that definition?
Well, here's the thing, though: is if the state wanted to create a contractual relationship with 3, 4, 5 people,
right,
they could, but that doesn't impact the religion. And that's kind of my argument, is that the state does one thing and the religion is allowed to do the other thing, and the religion can do whatever they want. And you can have a religion that could pop up and we could name it whatever we wanted, and they could have a religious marriage between 3 people. If that is their religious doctrine, they could do it.
So at this point, marriage doesn't have really a definition.
Well, yes, it does. It just has 2 different definitions. Yes, it does. It has a
we're
civil
just making
and a religious.
Whatever. If it wants to have 2 or 3 people, it can. Right. So there's no foundation of truth upon our definition of marriage.
What do you mean by truth? Why is
Pontius Pilate?
No. I mean, I'm just curious about what you mean by truth.
Right.
Is that who gets again? I understand why does the church get to define what marriage is, rather than anybody else that may not be a member of the church?
Well, so somebody created marriage at some point. It's an institution. And phone calls are starting to light up. It is an institution that was created at some point. Something's got to define it. And there's got to be based in reality. And so if you're just going to go, well, there's different definitions, different churches, okay, so why does the state define it? And what does the state define it as? And why is the state interested in it? It doesn't regulate your friendships. So there's something different here. There's an institution here. And what does that institution look like? So getting phone calls, huh?
Yeah, but he had called yesterday, so he can't. But he was, it's our farmer friend, Jay, and was talking about, when he talks about repopulation, he said, well, if it is about procreation, then does some of his farm crops then enter into the definition of marriage? Because you are taking 2 genetic examples of the crop and putting them together to propagate. Mm-hmm. So would that then fall under the definition of marriage? And I disagree. And while I believe that marriage does have a component of child raising, I disagree that would be the thrust. And the only reason I say that is because I don't know of a single religion that dissolves a marriage after the adults get beyond childbearing years.
No,
or if one of them
that's
is
not
barren.
the point of it. So,
Well, no, but you said the point was to raise the kids.
Yeah,
Then if you
that's
can't
why
have
the
kids-
state is far more interested in it than it is just your
Yeah.
friendships.
But we don't dissolve it because you can't or you don't.
Right.
So
No,
it's choice. Okay.
And you're not
That's
a
fair.
human if you lose your arm. You get into, and somebody texted here, 1993 called and wants its hot topic back. I don't think this thing has been decided at all, because I think what happened in the gay marriage argument was that, first of all, gender doesn't matter, or at least sex doesn't matter, right? That was the initial basis of it.
Not
that
sexual attraction doesn't matter. Not necessarily sex.
Well,
It'd be, who you're attracted
built
to,
laws,
and who you want to be.
The original law was one man, one woman, and we said, well, you don't need it.
Yeah.
And as our society moved away from gender distinctions, sexual distinctions, you got transgenderism. So the idea that this was settled, I don't think is the case at all. I think there's truth rooted there. And when you, as a society, try to define institutions that aren't rooted in truth, you end up with complications. But we're going to have this conversation because the state may see this on the ballot.
Yeah.
They have pressed an effort at the ballot to remove the definition of marriage as one man, one woman from the Constitution, which was put there in the 90s, I believe, by the Nortons, Jane Norton and Mike Norton, which are friends of the show. So maybe we'll have them on to discuss about this.
That'd be interesting.
But you're likely to see this on the ballot. You're likely to see this on the ballot, and we'll definitely talk a lot more about it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, want to give you a brief update.
Such a good song.
So you played it for me.
Okay.
All right. Yesterday was the second day of testimony in the Trump hush money trial. Donald Trump in court, criminal court in Manhattan. We had George Brockler on the show yesterday to kind of give us some insight into the strategy coming from the prosecution and the defense. David Pecker, ex-publisher of the National Enquirer, detailed a 2015 agreement with Trump and Michael Cohen to try to kill negative stories about the former president and run negative stories about his political rivals. The magazine's catch and kill operations are central to the case, and prosecutors allege the hush money deal with Stormy Daniels that Pecker helped broker was part of a larger conspiracy to influence the 2016 presidential election. Also in court Tuesday, Judge Juan Merchan had a heated exchange with Trump's lawyer whether the former president could be fined for social media posts prosecutors say violate the gag order. The judge has not issued his decision on this. Court is not in session on Wednesday. Trial will resume Thursday morning. To George's point yesterday, Bill, the fact that this isn't televised, you have to read these articles. You have to read these summaries. CNN literally doing a minute-by-minute live tweet of what's happening in the courtroom, and you have to trust CNN, which us conservatives don't.
And based on your point yesterday, I spent the time that I did have yesterday afternoon surfing several conservative outlets. I would check in with Fox, Breitbart, One American News, Newsmax were the four that I visited most often. And of the four, only one of them was given any sort of coverage to the trial. And that was Fox News. And it was normally at least third to fifth story, if it was even in the top 10. And that's what they would have as a little bit of a recap of what was going on. On Newsmax, it was an opinion articles about how bad this trial is. Nothing about the trial itself, but it was opinion articles. Breitbart, One American News, the trial doesn't exist. It's ostrich head in the sand kind of a thing, which is really interesting. And then I did check out CNN, MSNBC. MSNBC is practically holding a pep rally. I was like, wow, you guys are really going all in on this one. It was interesting to see the different sides of that.
And I'm not asking conservatives to not do the op-eds and the analysis, but can we get somebody to do a minute-by-minute analysis from our side on this? That might be nice.
To just include the information. The other one that was interesting for me yesterday was Pecker analyzed, or at least explained, the catch and kill scheme, talked about why he got involved, talked about other things the National Enquirer have done with this. And the biggest one that made the news yesterday was the fake story about Ted Cruz and his dad. They admitted they completely invented the story about Ted Cruz's dad being involved with Fidel Castro and killing JFK. So they invented it out of whole cloth, totally made it up. And the reason why, because
Help
Ted
Trump.
Cruz was gaining momentum
Yeah.
at that time, and he was there to help Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
All right. Prosecutors asked court to fine Trump $1,000 for each gag order violation, and they want to remove 10 of Trump's posts. Oh, boy. We'll continue to cover this and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
All right, let's do You Choose the News.
Yes, this is that time of the morning where we all make questionable decisions about our life choices. It is a game show we call You Choose the News. Yes, totally pretend and made up because the people in charge have no idea that we are doing this frivolity this early in the morning. We have scoured the interwebs for mere moments for these dumbass stories about us humans and give them even more ridiculous headlines to play this fake radio news game because, well, we think it's funny. Alrighty, here are our headlines this morning, Mr. Hunt and Mr. Olson. Headline number 1, taking one for the team. Headline number 2, China supports stripping. Headline number 3, make number go smaller. And headline number 4, record emergency response. Your choice this morning.
Record emergency response.
Yes, record emergency response. The Goodwill Fire Company, Station 69A, is being congratulated for their recent record emergency response to a fire. The best part about it was they only had to go downstairs. Yes, one of their engines caught fire inside of the firehouse on Thursday evening, which is going to make the next performance review incredibly awkward. Yes. So again, you got to the fire right on time, but please explain to me how the fire engine caught on fire inside of the fire station. It's probably not going to be an essay question. I just look at that. You did what? Yeah, what caught on fire where? I just obviously not doing the best job. Alrighty, Mr. Hutt, your second choice this morning. Taking one for the team. China supports stripping or making number go smaller.
We'll make the number go smaller.
Yes, make the number go smaller. That's what the science hippies say that we have to do. They say, that intermittent fasting, all that weird stuff that Gwyneth Paltrow wants you to insert into orifices in your body. None of that is going to help you lose weight. Not at all. As a new trial, they said it really comes down to exercise and most importantly, restricting calories.
Yes.
You want to lose weight, it comes down to restricting calorie. Stop listening to Gwyneth Paltrow. Basically the story there.
It's just math.
Yes,
which, would help
it
the
is.
Democrats sometimes.
Yes, it would. It would. But the Democrats always think that those are extra calories that we can give to somebody else. Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. All righty, Mr. Blake Olson from the newsroom. Your choice this morning, taking one for the team or China supports stripping.
Speaking of fire stations, let's go to the pole.
The poll?
Yeah, strippers.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I didn't catch that one. Thank you. Okay. I need to go back and take a nap. Alrighty. Okay. For Blake Olson and for my slow brain this morning, we are traveling into Hong Kong because they're doing the story about Beijing. Recently, they held the Beijing half marathon, and afterwards, there was a bit of stripping, but not the sexy kind. China's He Ji crossed the finish line first in the race, and he claimed the gold medal and the prize of over $5,000. But that has now been stripped from him, along with the second, third, and fourth place finishers. A video clip that surfaced online showed a group of 3 African runners slow down to let the Chinese runner get in front of them so that he can claim the win in the race.
And so they could survive.
Yes, that's exactly. They're in China. They want to go home. They're all, we're taking this seriously. We're doing an investigation. We want to know why they did this for the Chinese runner. Like, you want to know why? It's blatantly obvious, you idiots.
Because I have family.
Exactly. Because if I only have one foot, it's harder to run. This is really not that hard to figure out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
You've heard the stories of the guys that get in the cars, ride the subways too, and then end up breaking records.
Yes. So again, they're like, oh, we're really serious about all these breaking of the rules. And the African runners are like, I don't care. I just want to go home. That is it. That is it. If you choose the news, we are done with the silliness this morning. Thank you so much, Blake. We'll check in with you in a couple minutes. As always, Jeff Hunt is our winner, and I'm just a giant loser, but we are proudly not sponsored by Roll 'em Out Shelves. They are a serious company that will actually book a free in-home estimate today to help you organize your kitchen, bath, garage, whatever is causing you consternation and problems outside of You Choose the News. They'll take care of it. They are a great mother-son team. Check them out, rollemoutshelves.com. Back to you, sir.
All right, 7 o'clock hour. Ty Winter, Colorado representative, is going to join us. Colorado Democrats are handing around little documents with lists of words they would like not to be said.
Let me see your papers.
Including illegal immigrant. We'll talk to him and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Is it still okay for me to say that? I don't know. What are the rules now?
7 a.m. in the Mile High City. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with the brilliant and beautiful Bill Thorpe.
You know, I got to pay him $10 to say that every time. So I got the $10 today. Thank you, sir.
Bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, center, and crazy. And according to text messages today, I'm the crazy one. Another beautiful day in the Mile High City. We're gearing up for a whole morning of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab your coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a second, Representative Ty Winner joins us. House Democrats, they like to control what you have to say down there at the state capitol. They're handing out lists to Colorado Republicans, House Republicans, telling them what phrases will get them gavelled down. What does that mean? That means if you say a certain phrase while you're giving a speech on the floor of the House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House gavels you down and says, turn off that mic. You cannot say those words. What does that list include? Well, it includes things like the term illegal immigrant, proving that the Colorado House Democrats are willing to defund pretty much all police except for the thought police.
That's good.
Those are
really
strong, and they're operating heavy down there. So we'll get to Ty Winner in just a second. Blake Olson with the news. Good morning, Blake.
Can you say illegal alien, though?
Nope.
Oh, okay. All right, 44 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the mid-70s, upper 70s today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story early this morning, Columbia University said that Hamas supporters agreed to remove some tents to make non-student protesters leave and to bar harassing language directed at Jews and other students, delaying possible police action for 48 hours. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says the White House should have done something to help a long time ago.
If you're not going to use the tools of power you have to tell these folks, this is not freedom of speech. I'm happy to have people say whatever it is on their mind, but you can't go threaten a group of students on campus and then have to close your school down, as Columbia has had to do, take classes online because you're prepared to defend basic rule of law principles.
President Biden preparing to sign the new foreign aid bill into law. Tuesday, the Senate passed the $95 billion emergency deal, which goes to Ukraine, $60 billion, Israel, Taiwan, and the Indo-Pacific. The bill also laid the groundwork to ban the social media app TikTok in the U.S. However, the southern border remains wide open. The U.S. Supreme Court set to hear a case involving emergency abortions. The High Court will hear oral arguments today on whether emergency rooms in Idaho can provide abortions to a woman whose health is at risk. A Larimer County man, 21-year-old Ivan Buenuelos Gandara, accused of human trafficking and child assault, may have more victims. Investigators say he offered an underage victim cash for sex acts, and authorities say there may be one more victim. Call the Larimer County Sheriff's Office if you have any information. A barricaded suspect at a Littleton apartment complex prompted a shelter in place on Tuesday. Police, including the SWAT team, were called to the scene along Fox Street in the afternoon. The suspect taken into custody without incident about an hour later. People living in Dumont and Idaho Springs areas were alarmed Tuesday when they noticed the waters of Clear Creek had turned a rusty orange color. It was determined that the sediment pond in Lawson became blocked and overflowed into the creek, causing the orange color. Officials say it's not a public health issue and should clear up soon. One of the brothers of Nuggets star Nikola Jokic punched a fan at Ball Arena. It's on video Monday night during the Lakers game, the playoff game at Ball Arena. Denver police looking to identify the person who was punched. Took quite a hit. NBA also investigating. It's 42 in Lafayette, 41 in Castle Rock, and 44 in Denver.
Look out, Drake out of the way, it's in front, open net, Parisi scores!
Avalanche tie their series at 1 apiece with a victory over Winnipeg last night, 5-2. They return home for Game 3 Friday.
Bases loaded, no one out. Brendan Rodgers at the plate. And this ball hammered deep left field. Take a good look. You will see it for life.
Drew Goodman and Brendan Rodgers belted a 4th-inning grand slam, and the Rockies beat the Padres 7-4 Tuesday. They're back at it tonight at Coors Field. Nuggets Game 3 in L.A. tomorrow night in the opening round series. Denver, of course, leads it 2-0. Jeff and Billy continue on Wednesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for temperatures to be quite mild today and tomorrow. Then we're going to cool off for Friday and the weekend with some shower and thunderstorm chances. Today it'll be partly cloudy, mid to upper 70s. Lows tonight, mid to upper 40s. There will be a chance of an isolated shower thunderstorm towards late afternoon and evening. Mid-70s Thursday, breezy. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms lingering into Thursday night. A cooling trend with scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Meteorologist Don Day, 710 KNUS.
What words can or can you not say down at the state capitol? It doesn't seem like there's too many restrictions on what you can say on college campuses these days, especially if it's anti-Semitic. But are the House Democrats down at the state capitol now putting out lists on what Republicans can or cannot say? Joining us on the Jeff and Bill show is Rep. Ty Winter, state representative. Representative, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
Good morning, brother. It's good to be on. Thanks for having me.
So tell me what's happening on the floor of the House right now with regards to what Democrats are telling you all, House Republicans, you can or cannot say.
Well, you know what, to be honest with you, Jeff, this has been an uphill battle all year. We've heard the gavel drop quite a bit. We've kind of went away from dropping the gavel to more of what we call redirecting conversation. But it's been a struggle all year. We've been fighting for our First Amendment rights since day one. Numerous times we've had discussions on the floor and from the well, saying that we need to get up and speak for our constituents. And, in the founding of this country, there was some hard conversations. There was some, tough, contentious times, but that's how we got this country founded. And that's how good things get done. And at the end of the day, we just want to be able to show up, represent our constituents, have good, strong, healthy debate, and lay out our case for Coloradans.
What are some of the phrases, words, things that they're not allowing you to say?
So just a couple of them, alien, illegal, undocumented, invader, squatter, fresh off the boat. That's just a handful of the words that were on the list, sir.
So you can't discuss the blockbuster movie starring Sigourney Weaver about the space thingies that come and we can't do that because we can't say alien. That's weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Total. But what made it really hard is, especially when Rep. Ron Weinberg got up there, he immigrated here from South Africa, got up and started to tell his story and immediately was gavelled. And all the time we hear about lived experience in these chambers and somebody being able to, speak their lived experience. And it just blew my mind, especially when Rep. Weinberg was redirected and gavelled and basically given the outline of how the speech was going to go for the day.
Wow.
I think there's some other words that I've seen a picture, and you can tell me if this is correct or not. Maybe you haven't seen this picture, but I think they're looking at some of the other words that may have been gavelled down. Maybe you haven't got an explicit list, but when people have said these, the speaker has stepped in and tried to, quote, redirect conversation. Constitution, capitalism, God, freedom, objective truth, republic, Tabor, Trump. Have some of those phrases been, quote, redirected as well?
No, Jeff, to be honest with you, I had a good friend send me a screenshot of a list that's floating around on the internet. And I think it's just a list that somebody came up with, to maybe point out the hypocrisy of all this or to make a little bit joke of it. But no, sir, we haven't, don't get me wrong. There's been a couple representatives that have talked about socialism and communism. And there's been some redirection on that, which they consider it impugning motive, because I guess the members that take direct offense to that in the chamber, some of that stuff has definitely happened, but we haven't seen any redirect on any of the words that you just shot out to me, sir.
The actual list has more to do with terms like illegal alien, illegal immigrant, and that was passed out to you all, though, from House Democrats, right?
Yeah, that list came into minority leader, and she disseminated it through the caucus.
Wow. What's it like on the floor of the House right now? My wife and my daughter and my kids, we were all down there for the March for Life. So we went in and sat in the gallery during some of the debates, and it didn't seem too friendly on the floor of the House right now. How are things going for the mighty 19 Republicans that are left in the House of Representatives?
We're fighting like heck, sir. Of course, this time of year is contentious. Everybody's tired. We're running on little sleep. We've been bombarded with bad legislation. Even the other night, if you go back and watch the tape, there was a point on a debate over women veterans where one of the Democratic representatives asked people to line the well and actually build a wall in between herself and my Republican colleagues, and literally came over to our side of the well and built a human wall around this individual. And I mean, in my opinion, that's a no-no. That's encroaching on our space. So, we've even had that happen, which of course, we nixed right away and went to leadership and said, this can't fly. They rounded him up and got him out of there. But, sir, it's contentious. It's that time of year. And as far as the mighty 19, sir, we're going to buckle in, and, we've got some good legislation that we all have left on the books. We're going to try to get out to help our constituents. And then there's a whole lot of bad legislation that, we're going to debate the heck out of. And, first of all, try to persuade some of our counterparts to come over on our side. But at the end of the day, lay out a good, strong case to the constituents and the citizens of Colorado on, why they need to vote Republican, because we have their best interest at heart. And with what's going on in the state, I think some of our arguments are being heard. I think they're not falling on deaf ears. So in my opinion, in the last 2 weeks, we just need to lay out a really good case of why people should vote for Republicans in, the upcoming November election, so we can get some numbers back.
Talking with Representative Ty Winter, to that point, I know it's very hard to be a lawmaker down there when you're in a super minority. But through all this, I've seen some great conservative fighters really rise to the top in the midst of all the challenges you all face there. We're talking about this memo that was distributed from House Democrats to House Republicans. It reads this: in 2021, the Biden administration issued a memo to the Executive Office for Immigration Review establishing terminology. The Library of Congress adjusted their language in 2016 by ceasing to use the term illegal alien because it is pejorative. And several U.S. Supreme Court cases also established use of the term non-citizen instead of alien because they are statutorily equivalent, but only one of those terms is associated with hate groups. The following terms are no longer used: alien, illegal alien, undocumented alien, invader, interloper, squatter, fresh off the boat. Words that are acceptable: migrant, immigrant, undocumented immigrant, undocumented person, non-citizen, applicant. Sorry. Sounds like someone applying for a job at McDonald's. Immigrant, immigration without authorization. Immigrant without authorization. New arrivals. It is also unacceptable, dehumanizing, and inaccurate to describe immigration as an invasion or as a horde, and to describe whole groups of people as criminal or anchor babies. That was distributed from House Democrats. Go ahead, Representative Ty Winter.
What was even more, contentious than that was Representative Hartsook, who's, military veteran, served overseas. He talked about how, we could have another 9/11 based upon the open border. And he was gavelled down for that. And at the end of the day, there's nothing, not true about that. We know based on the news that they have arrested some terrorists that are on the terrorist watch list. And we know that more of them have got through than they've arrested. So, even that, having real conversations. And what makes it hard is we want to speak the truth. And with everything that's else, Jeff, that's going on in the House chamber, we've had questions about 21C violations, which means there could be conflict of interest between legislators running legislation and if it benefits them. We've had representatives smack talk We had Representative Taggart in the well, and one of our Democrat colleagues basically told him, we don't even need to hear what you have to say about this. We have enough votes no matter what you say. I mean, and we talk about decorum all the time, but it's almost like rules for thee, not for me. So, sir, we just keep swinging away, and we keep having those conversations, and there's just so much going on here. Of course, the majority always has the spotlight on us or the magnifying glass, but there's just a lot of hypocrisy that goes on. But we keep bringing these things to light, and we keep fighting for what we can fight for, and we keep bringing these topics up, and we're just not going to stop at the end of the day, and we're going to keep fighting for our constituents.
So I posted this document online, and Matt Gray, a former state rep, Democrat state rep, his critique was that we're not being compassionate enough to illegal immigrants. That if you're a Christian and you are a compassionate person, and the Bible says to treat the stranger in your midst with compassion, calling them illegal aliens, invaders, squatters, fresh off the boat, hordes invading our country is not being compassionate to them. What's your response to people that may hold that position?
Sir, first of all, my response is I've talked to many people that have immigrated here legally or that are in the process, and they're upset that, they're getting cut in front of in line. And I would say, what is compassion about that? Yes. Are we to help people? Is that what Christians are supposed to do? But first of all, you can't give from a cup that's empty. And right now in our country, we're having a hard time even taking care of our own citizens and providing. At the Capitol, we talk about housing, we talk about feeding children, we talk about insurance, and then we're taking on another burden. So first and foremost, what I would like to say to them is let's help the Americans that we have in this country that are struggling. We are the land of opportunity. We are the melting pot. Don't get me wrong. My family were Italian immigrants that came over to this country. They immigrated legally. They assimilated to society. They learned English. They became the fabric of America. They mined coal in the Trinidad area that helped build the steel that built this country. But we assimilated and we went to work. But first and foremost, what I would say to them is you can't give from a cup that's empty. Let's fix our country. That way we can help others. Second of all, most of what we see that there isn't that many Christians in the first place on that side of the aisle anymore. Morning prayer, there's only a handful left. So to throw that back in our face, I would say is disingenuous and wrong. So I think first and foremost, I would say if we're really going to sit down and have conversations, if you want to talk about being a Christian, let's talk about being a Christian all the way around. Maybe when we talk about protecting life, there's other things that if we're going to be Christians, as Christians, we really look at. So if we're going to have the full scope of conversation around what Christianity is and what it really means, we can't pick and choose what makes us Christians.
Ty Winter, Colorado State Representative, joining Jeff and Bill this morning, talking about the language police that are down at the state capitol. We talk all the time on the show about free speech and limits. And it shocked Jeff and I to our core to see that under the golden dome of our state capitol, they are going to try and limit speech. The one place in which free speech probably, in my opinion at least, should be protected the most. Now, Representative Winter, I can see the pushback on things like, the people crossing the border are a bunch of criminals. They're a bunch of people that have escaped from mental institutions, or, saying they are all negative. I can see that as a broad generalization, but can you help me understand the Democrat pushback on what I feel are accurate language of things like illegal immigrant? If you have immigrated to this country and you came across the border illegally, that seems like an accurate definition. It seems like we should be able to use that. What is the reasons the Democrats are giving for some of these terms that, based on definition, are accurate, but we can't use them? Why are they saying? I can get with the feelings of broad generalizations of criminals, but the illegal immigrant, that's an accurate definition. Why can't you use that?
And Jeff touched on this. It's considered offensive. It's considered to hurt people's feelings. And that's pretty much the gist of,
here's the thing. I mean, just to interrupt a sec, whose feelings are we hurting?
Members of the Democratic caucus. And that's what we've been told. And, this is what makes it hard to ask that question is what we see as an all-out attack on America and the Constitution. And Jeff and I had talked earlier in the year. about, I think we skirted this issue. We also talked at the Republican convention that was down in Pueblo. And what we find more and more is the issues that we're fighting for aren't even Republican or Democrat issues, sir. They're American issues. Owning guns, American issue. It's not Republican or Democrat. It's the protection of this free nation. The First Amendment right to free speech, whether it's us in the well or the press. That's an American issue. And what blows my mind is I can't even believe we're having arguments over these issues. You know, at the end of the day, the one thing that we should all be able to rally around is the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the founding of this country. And then we have our disagreements from there. But when we're disagreeing on the unalienable rights that were given to us, that way we could even be in this building and have these hard conversations. That's what blows my mind. I never thought that we would be debating anything to do with the Constitution. And we see it a constant attack on the Constitution, which to me is, I just can't get over it. It shouldn't be a red issue, a blue issue. This should be an American issue. And this is the points that we should all be able to come together. And that's what the 19 is doing, is fighting to preserve constitutional rights under this building.
Now, I appreciate the answer, Representative. You're talking about the reason that the Democrats don't want us to use in the debate illegal immigrant because it hurts their feelings. Now, I know you don't know this off the top of your head, but just guesstimate for me. What is the average age of the Democrat representative that you deal with on a daily basis? I mean, just ballpark it for me. What do you think their average age is of the entire Democrat caucus?
You know, there's such a wide spectrum. If I had to guess, I would say.
I mean, do you think it's 45, late 30s, 45? Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to know because I wanted to know if they were grown-ass adults, not babies, not little kids that are going to get their feelings hurt because someone said something to them on the playground. They aren't going to go crying to the teacher going, he said something mean to me. I just wanted to reinforce the fact that we are all grown-ass adults. And if somebody else has the ability to say something to you that is going to hurt your fifis so much that you can't possibly do your job, get the hell out of legislature, please. Resign right now. Do us a favor. You're not an adult. You can't deal with this. You can't deal with doing the hard work. There's going to be disagreements when you're on the floor. Stop it. Stop talking about language. Deal with the problems. I want to know how many things I could sit and say in front of Timmy Hernandez's face until I made him cry. How many things could I say? At what point is Timmy going to start shedding tears? I'm sorry. I'm a little upset about this. The fact that we're mad over language, that someone's feelings are hurt. Get a helmet.
Well,
That's
Bill,
life. Grow up.
You and I were in debate, and if your debate opponent is saying really stupid things that make them look like idiots, do you interrupt that?
No,
because you know that the average American or average citizens going to see that and go, that person is awful.
Yeah. And if you make them cry, that's a plus. That's a personal thing. And again, their feelings are being hurt. Seriously, people. You're grown-ass adults. You want your feelings hurt? Call this radio station right now, Democrats. I'll hurt feelings. I'll show you hurt feelings. Yeah, you want to see things that can be said to you that are going to hurt? Try me. Try me.
I mean, this list here is not totally out of bounds. Undocumented alien, illegal alien. The idea that that the Democrats are saying undocumented immigrant is okay, but undocumented alien not okay. Stupid. Just is like. And here's what gets me, and I want to get back to Ty Winner on this in a second.
Yeah, I took us off
because you got what you're frustrated with.
So mad.
All right, so at
so
the end of this memo, they go, it's unacceptable and dehumanizing and inaccurate to describe immigration as an invasion. Okay, if you've actually studied what happens to these people when they come here, the rape, the torture, the human trafficking, that is unacceptable and dehumanizing. And the fact we're not having that conversation about what's happening to human beings because we have created this system where we allow that to happen.
That's good.
That's unacceptable and dehumanizing to me. Not this list of words. Have that conversation. Unleash the floor to have that conversation. That's what I would like to see. Rep. Ty Winner, your response.
Well, and not only that, Jeff, but I mean, look at what's happening even on our healthcare system here in Denver with Denver Health. If we look at what the strain is on the schools, I mean, if you look at the strains along the towns on the southern border, this is putting a strains on services for American citizens. And it's putting them at the back of the line. And we see the strains that it's having on, like I said, the healthcare system, the education system. There's just more to this conversation. There's a lot to this conversation. It's a tough conversation. I mean, the federal government needs to quit using this as a political football, and they need to actually fix the problem. And you're right. There's atrocities that go along all the time. I've done some research. We've had radio hosts from Colorado go down and, spend some time along the border wall. I spent some time reading and watching the news, and you're right. The atrocities that are happening to these young girls having to carry Plan B. Their parents send them up with a Plan B pill because, horrible things happen to them along the way. The trafficking, the way the cartels are involved. This has created an economy. We see the Democrats in this chamber fight, American citizens, law-abiding American citizens on owning their guns and Second Amendment. And we know that illegal guns are pouring back and forth across the border because of the open border policy. So I think we need to have these hard conversations. We need to dig into those issues. And, we're willing to do that. We understand that this debate can get rough, and we understand that, it may be uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, when we talk about it, it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's an American issue. The founding of this country, there were some hard conversations. And when we all just lay it out on the table and we have the real discussion, I think that's what, as legislators, is when we make better policy and better decisions.
Talking with Representative Ty Winter on this memo that was distributed from House Democrats to House Republicans on words that can and cannot be said. One of the things you brought up just there briefly, and I think it's something that both myself and Bill share concerns about, is when you end up with a supermajority, when you end up with that amount of power by one party. It goes back to that old phrase that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't know what you're allowed to get into. I don't know what you're allowed to say, but when you look down there at the amount of power that Democrats have in the state house, nearly the same amount of power in the state Senate, do you see corruption taking place?
I can't speak to corruption, sir. I don't get into that. I don't know about that. I'm focused on legislating. I will say that, you were right about the absolute power, and they're drunk on power. And that shows with a lot of the actions that go on, here in the chamber. And, I can speak to that. Definitely drunk on power, definitely on control. I mean, we basically got 3 chambers in this building, and it is what it is. But that's at the end of the day why I'm glad there's individuals like you out there speaking the truth and, help us, because we have to start flipping some seats, and we have to start bringing some sanity back into the state capitol, not just for the Republicans, but for the state as a whole. We have a chance to pull this thing back on the tracks. And, that's what we're focused on doing, is getting through this year and then getting more of us back here. That way we can dig into some of those numbers and actually try to, help fix this state and move it in the right direction.
Representative Ty Winter, Assistant Minority Leader down at the Colorado General Assembly. Thanks for giving us insight into the craziness happening on the floor of the House. Thanks for fighting back, and especially for fighting for a better direction for the state of Colorado, because we sure need it.
And if you need help with making the Democrats cry, have them call the show, please. I got your back. And I will be happy to make them cry.
Awesome. And I want to thank you both for always having us on. And I want to let you all know, our comms department has done an awesome job this year. We have a newsletter. So if you go to the ColoradoHouseRepublicans.com and sign up for the Mighty 19 newsletter, they're always putting good, bad, and ugly bills, updates from all the legislators in, our caucus. And then please go to our Facebook page, go to our X Twitter page. They've come up with some really good videos that kind of highlight some of the atrocities that are going on in this building. So please give them a like and a look. Take a look at that stuff and support us all you can. Thank you all. God bless Colorado, and God bless America.
Thank you, Representative Winter. Going back to your point, you say this a lot, Bill. There's a difference between representing and ruling.
Yep,
and these types of memos seem like ruling.
Oh, yeah, it is.
As opposed to representing.
Use the language that we say is appropriate, because otherwise you'll hurt our feelings, and we will have a bad day and be sad the rest of the afternoon, and probably have to find a safe space and a cookie, and pisses me off a lot.
I'm going to take you back to the very first hour conversation. Imagine we social conservatives got total control and sent around a memo saying you could not use the term gay marriage in a debate about marriage, because we find it offensive and it hurts our feelings. And if that word comes out of your mouth, I'm going to gavel you down. Imagine the uproar if conservatives ever did that.
Oh, do it this way. Go even a step further and say that we are going to debate preventing transgendered athletes in sports, but we can't say transgendered.
Right.
Yeah, we can't, because that would be offensive. I mean, there's so many things, and it's just, the part for me is, okay, I understand some of the broad generalizations. I get that. Okay, fine. But the actual individual terms and the fact it's based on you're going to be hurting someone's feelings, regardless if it's a Democrat representative or senator here in the state, or even an illegal immigrant, someone that came across the border not correctly, and we're worried about using the term illegal alien or illegal immigrant to offend them. Don't care at that point. I'm sorry. It is an accurate definition for the process that you used in order to get into the country. That is accurate. Stop it. And again, it's your feelings. You're grown-ass adults. If anybody outside of your family or friend circle can seriously hurt your feelings, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Stop it. Just, bunch of asshats. This is why we can't have nice things. Really, this is it.
This is Bill, the true independent, coming out today. I love it.
It makes me so mad. This is why things don't work. A text message absolutely accurately said, this is about distraction.
Yes.
This is about creating a
100%.
smoke screen to distract us from the other crap they're doing.
When we come back, I want to have that conversation about corruption down there, because I
interesting.
wonder. All right. We all want a kinder, gentler way to experience wellness and to overcome pain. I'm thriving and fighting back my workout soreness with UltraCur. UltraCur is a patented, non-prescription natural capsule that works fast. Surveys show that 50% of people using UltraCur find relief within 48 hours, and half of those within 2 hours. Experience UltraCur for free. Go to any Denver Metro Natural Grocers and ask for the health coach or the vitamin manager for your free 3-day trial of UltraCur. UltraCur is fueled by a patented technology to give you the true edge to support your peak wellness, energy, and active lifestyle. If you've tried everything without much success, even other natural curcumin products, you owe it to yourself to at least try UltraCur today. UltraCur gives you unique control over your daily wellness. It's gentle on your stomach, and it's a natural antioxidant. Get curious, Denver. Head to the Natural Grocers and grab your free 3-day UltraCur trial with no strings attached. Wondering about the research? Get the lowdown at getultranow.com. That's getultranow.com. Working out with the boys this morning, doing the arms.
Nice.
Woo, UltraCur. It helps. Go check it out. All right, we'll continue with your calls and texts because there are a lot of them. Give us a call on what you thought about what's happening down at the State House, especially as it relates to this memo. Do you think that the Democrats have too much power down there? 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Text us on the 710 KNUS app. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So we're talking about the fact that the House Democrats in Colorado, down at the state legislature, they passed out this little memo. This memo told Republicans certain things they could or could not say. Here's the list.
Yes, Democrats have decided there are safe words. Yes, pun intended.
That's right. So if you go down and you're a Republican state rep and you use any one of these trigger words, then the Speaker of the House is going to take their gavel and go, order, cut the mic. And then Representative Ty Winter said they, quote, want to redirect the conversation. So they're going to redirect. So here are the terms no longer allowed to be said on the floor of the House down in Colorado. Alien, illegal alien, undocumented alien, invader or invaders. Thank you for including the little S in the parentheses to make it clear. Interloper. I don't even know what that is. Squatter, fresh off the boat. Wasn't there an entire television program called Fresh Off the Boat?
I don't know. There might have been.
I thought there was a sitcom called Fresh Off the Boat, which was all about,
Maybe.
it was like a comedy. It was like a family that just came right.
Now we can't watch it anymore. It's been banned. And we had a texture that showed there are certain IRS forms and things you can't fill out anymore because it has things like illegal alien on this. We can't talk about that.
It was a show on Fox for years.
Oh my
Fresh Off the Boat.
Gosh. Well, no longer. Can't have it in Colorado. It's banned.
It's
They're
on
now
Hulu.
banning sitcoms.
You're right.
You can't.
Congratulations.
Yes, you can't.
Words that are acceptable: migrant, immigrant, undocumented migrant, undocumented person, non-citizen, applicant, immigration without authorization, and new arrivals.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they didn't put newcomers in there. That's one of the phrases.
I'm surprised that and hopeful citizen hopeful, new American smell, whole bunch of stuff we can throw in there that are just, American to be, citizen to be.
Smell.
Just the hell, people. Just please.
It is also unacceptable, according to the memo, dehumanizing and inaccurate to describe immigration as an invasion, as a horde, and to describe whole groups of people as criminal or anchor babies.
Yeah. Now, for me, I would say inaccurate. And then that's where I would hang my hat on that, is the idea of there are segments of the population that the immigrants, yes, absolutely. But, and the one that does get me more than that, the one that does bring me closer to where the Democrats are, the only one in that list that I have any sympathy for is the criminal argument, only because I don't see the large umbrella that they are all criminals being released by their countries in order to come here and do bad stuff in the U.S. I just don't see that.
Didn't Joe Biden refer to all of MAGA as criminals?
I don't think so.
They're the greatest threat to at least
threat.
there's
I didn't think not criminals. And see, threat and criminal to me would be different. Yeah, because we can have a threat from a flood and that's not a criminal. But so there are issues. Yeah.
Don't describe whole groups of people this way.
Yeah.
So that's the Democrats down at the State House. If you make any of those remarks, they'll gavel you down. And I wonder if there's a free speech lawsuit here. I understand there's decorum.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Right? Like
Sure,
you can't
absolutely.
go use the N-word down on the floor of the house.
No.
You're going to get gaveled down for that.
Yeah. There are lots of rap lyrics you can't read. Tons of them because of that.
But the idea illegal alien, I mean, as somebody pointed out, I just went to the IRS website for tax topics.
Yep, exactly.
And
It says that.
They topic number 81, resident and non-resident aliens.
Yes, they use it. So we can't talk about it. No more IRS.
There you go.
That's the part.
That works.
And the part that kills me is because you're hurting someone's feelings. I'm sorry, don't
and
care
not
at
the
that
immigrants'
point.
feelings.
Yeah, it's the other person's feelings. And there's a part where, I've had this conversation with listeners about using the proper pronoun for someone that is transgendered. And I understand that when you're using that in front of the person that is identifying, that using the wrong gender can hurt that person's feelings, and you're making that choice personally to hurt them. This, I feel, is a different situation because using illegal immigrant is an accurate term. If that person is transgendered in front of you and they're presenting as a woman, I feel in the same situation, female, woman is an accurate term at that point. And
you
so,
wouldn't
yeah.
criminalize somebody.
No,
right? So
oh God, no. There's no way in hell.
If
No,
if you want to be a jerk,
yes, absolutely.
and
Yes,
you can,
please.
if
Yes.
that's what you consider
Yes.
being a jerk, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't.
and,
but
and I would fight in court against making that criminal, even though I disagree with someone doing it. I don't think that needs to be law because that's just stupid. You're allowed to be a jerk. You're allowed to say those kind of things, and because your feelings are hurt. Oh, come on.
So speaking of things that Democrats want to ban, you're not going to believe what I have next for you. Stick around on this. All right. Hey there, fellow homeowners. Jeff here. And today I've got something truly special to share with you. Ever dreamt of effortlessly transforming your home into a haven of organization and efficiency? Well, listen up, because I've got just the solution for you. Roll 'em out shelves. Let me paint you a picture of my recent experience with Joyce and Brent from Roll 'em Out Shelves. It was like having family walk through my door. Seriously, these folks aren't just professionals. They're meticulous, caring, and so personable. Working with them felt like having my mom and brother right there beside me, kind, considerate, and always making sure everything was just right. Let me tell you, their attention to detail is unparalleled. They measured every nook and cranny, asked all the right questions, and ensured that every shelf and drawer was tailor-made to fit my needs perfectly. The result? Say goodbye to chaos and hello to beautiful, organized shelves showcasing all my essentials. But here's the best part. You don't have to break the bank for this transformation. For less than $1,000, you can embark on your very own home makeover journey with Roll 'em Out Shelves. And let me assure you, these shelves are built to last, crafted from sturdy Baltic birch, built right here in Colorado, and backed by a lifetime guarantee. You can trust that your space will stay organized for years to come. So what are you waiting for? Give Joyce and Brent, the dynamic duo behind Roll 'em Out Shelves, a call today at 303-475-9601. That's 303-475-9601, or visit their website at rollemoutshelves.com for your free in-home estimate. Trust me, folks, the process is a breeze and you'll never look back. And don't forget to tell them Jeff sent you. All right, listen to this on what Democrats want to ban next.
Okay.
You know, they don't
Deep breath,
mind. They don't mind in some cases people cutting lines, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Illegal
no.
immigrant?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can cut the
You're
line.
fine
Go
with
ahead.
this. Yes.
One line cutter, they won't allow anymore.
Yeah.
Clear. At the airport.
At the the fast screening thingy?
The fast screening thingy.
Why?
It's not equitable.
What do you mean not equitable?
Because some people have to wait longer in line. And
So?
only rich people are paying to jump in front of everybody.
Oh, good Lord.
So in the name of equity, they're going to ban Clear from allowing you to cut in line. So what do they want to do? Do they want to ban Clear entirely? No. They don't. They're willing to now allow, as a compromise, Clear to exist over there away from everybody. So speaking of hurt feelings, you cannot cut in front of people that have been waiting in line. So I'm a member of Clear. I've had Clear for years, and it has saved my butt from missing flights, because sometimes I will have meetings that go late, and I travel almost entirely for business purposes. So sometimes you have a meeting that runs late and you're racing to the airport. The whole point of me getting Clear, and I'm super fiscal. I drive a car that has 250,000 miles on it. The reason I got Clear is because I didn't want to miss a flight. And I oftentimes it's like, I'm willing to pay this annual fee so I can get through that security screening quickly and get to my flight. What they don't like is when the lanes merge. So you can still have Clear, but you're going to be away out of sight of the general population. So you don't get the cutting in line.
I don't want to see the pores.
Well, no. I mean, yeah, maybe that's it.
That's what I'm saying.
But they don't want the people going through the general screening to have to watch people cut in front of them. They think that's offensive, and government in California is going to step in to address this.
Now what's going to happen is all the Dems are signed up for Clear, and they're going to have a separate, they're going to have the line separated. But then what's going to happen is while you're in line, there's going to be violinists, and maybe on Taco Tuesday, a mariachi band that goes down. You get free tacos. They'll massage your feet and give you a shoulder massage, maybe a skin peel, some Botox, all while you're waiting in line, because that's okay for them. That's because, again, they all have Clear. none of them are staying with the rest of us cattle. You know, I don't travel enough to do
They're
it.
just going away to
Yeah.
your own little area.
Oh,
They've kind of done
crap.
that with TSA Pre now at DIA.
Oh, yeah.
You go to your own little area, and it's very
Yeah.
quick. But
And they're really super nice when they do the body cavity search. There's a little seltzer they give you, and it's nice.
they're gentle.
They actually lube the gloves, which is a whole new experience.
Bob, we're going to get to you in just a second. California introducing this new bill that's going to get rid of clear line merges. Jeff Hunt here for my friends at Dan Caplis Law. Speaking of Dan, we were talking about this earlier. When you go to the Nuggets game and you see Dan Caplis Law everywhere, the guy that got punched by Jokic's brother, or maybe the guy that punched the guy, maybe Jokic's brother, probably calling Dan Caplis right now. Dan suggests that you should choose a lawyer who shares your values, because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis is the son of a police officer. Dan is also a former seminarian. Dan has dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm. For serious cases, Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. If you need Dan's help, give him a call. 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLISLaw.com. Bob, you're up next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in London, I'm Julia Chapman, and here are the top stories we're following. The U.S. Supreme Court will hear oral arguments today in a case involving the state of Idaho, an abortion ban, and a federal law requiring hospitals to administer emergency care. Tony Waterman has more.
At issue is whether a federal law requiring hospitals to provide stabilizing treatment, including abortions, in emergency medical situations preempts Idaho law, which now bans nearly all abortions. More than 20 states are backing Idaho, claiming the Biden administration is trying to circumvent their abortion bans. This hearing comes as the Associated Press is reporting that the number of complaints of pregnant women being turned away from emergency rooms has spiked in states with abortion bans.
The foreign aid bill passed by the U.S. Senate on Tuesday also forces the Chinese owner of TikTok to sell the social media platform or face the app being banned. The bill was introduced over fears about national security because of ByteDance's Chinese links. Security experts have warned that the Chinese government could demand sensitive data relating to the 170 million users in the U.S. TikTok says it has never shared that data and never would. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Julia Chapman in London on Salem News Channel.
All right, let's go to Bob in Denver. Bob, you're on the Jeff and Bill show. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you think, Bob?
Well, I think that what's going on in the legislature has very little to do with hurt feelings. I think it has a lot to do with control.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
I would agree.
Yep. No, and changing the narrative and not talking about all the problems like the health problems, the education spending, all that stuff. No, we're going to go talk about semantics instead.
Yeah, and someone on the text line also suggested that it helps them avoid the debate because they can push other things to the outside. Now, Bob, question for you. Now, if you were going to create a list for the GOP is going to give their list of things the Democrats can't say. What would be on your list? Just tongue in cheek for fun. What would you tell the Democrats they wouldn't be able to say?
Wow, I don't know.
I'll start off. I'd go with MAGA. I'd say they can't say MAGA.
Yeah. MAGA would be a real good one.
If I was a Republican, I'd hand a document right back to the Democrats saying these are only the words you can say with regards to the illegal immigrant debate. Laken Riley is her name. Say that. Laken Riley, Democrats.
That's good.
Much easier to find words that they would be allowed to say than ones they wouldn't, I think.
Right.
No, my concern is many, many years ago when they decided to quit designating themselves as liberal and went to the term progressive. There's a lot of meaning to that. Look the meaning of progressive up in the dictionary.
Is it regressive? I think it's more regressive than progressive.
Well, you know how you eat an elephant?
Yeah, one bite at a time.
And that's exactly what they've been doing to us in the last 10 years. They nibble a little bit. They go for something that's absolutely ridiculous. They get a little bit of it, and then they come back the next chance they get, and they get a little bit more.
Bob, you're right. Great call. Bob's line will be open, 303-696-1971. Give us a call. We got a whole lot more to discuss. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS. We'll let you say whatever you want. Well, except what the SEC says. They got some rules. We have very few rules. Yes, this is based on a suggestion from a listener. This is an old school Genesis song that will no longer be allowed to be played at the Capitol. Apologize to everybody on the video because I can't play it because we'll get a copyright thing. Haven't heard this in a long time. Yeah, that's Genesis hit Illegal Alien. Can't play that down at the Capitol, can we? No.
Order!
No,
We
can't
are
have that.
redirecting the conversation
'cause-
in a better direction.
Yes, because obviously the Phil Collins fronted band there is hurting everybody's fifis. And we are all very sad and disappointed because of that song in the morning, because hurt the Democrats in Colorado's feelings under the Golden Dome. You idiots. Just seriously, people. What the hell? The fact that just my feelings are hurt. Are you an adult?
Cut that audio. 801. Meh. We'll note that, Bill.
Thank you.
I love it.
Oh.
Good morning. It's 8 a.m. in the Mile High City. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show. This is the only station where your thoughts, conversation, you're part of what's happening here in Denver. We want to hear your voice. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. Text us on the 710 KNUS app. It's been a fantastic morning covering everything from U.S. Supreme Court oral arguments to House Democrats down in Colorado going, these are a list of words Republicans cannot say. It includes words like illegal alien, illegal immigrant. It needs to be only newcomer and fresh smelling Americans or whatever it is.
Safe
whatever you call it.
Yeah. New Americans with a new smell. Yes.
We've got a whole lot of news to cover. Speaking of the news, let's dive into the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Morning, Jeff and Bill. I love that Phil Collins song. That's
such a good song.
Oh my!
I've forgotten about it.
You got so did I. I was thinking the same thing. I'm gonna play it like 50 times today.
Oh, you
48, yeah, 48 and sunny in Denver. Expecting highs in the upper 70s. The 710 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story. Wow. Colorado Representative Ty Winter says that House Democrats, as you just heard Jeff and Bill talk about, trying to control speech at the state capitol. He says it's been going on all year. They don't want to hear words like
alien, illegal, undocumented, invader, squatter, fresh off the boat. That's just a handful of the words that were on the list, sir. But what made it really hard is, especially when Rep. Ron Weinberg got up there, he immigrated here from South Africa, got up and started to tell his story, and immediately was gabbled. And all the time we hear about lived experience in these chambers and somebody being able to, speak their lived experience. And it just blew my mind, especially when Rep. Weinberg was redirected and gabbled and basically given the outline of how the speech was going to go for the day.
Incredible. It's called the First Amendment.
If I didn't know you, I would even think that you were German soldiers myself.
Thank you, Colonel Klink. First comes speech, then comes guns. A gun control measure passed by the Colorado legislature is on its way to Governor Polis's desk. The bill would require gun owners to get more training before they can legally carry a concealed firearm. The training would cover safe gun storage, state and federal gun laws, and using firearms for self-defense. Wildlife officials say one of the 10 wolves reintroduced into Colorado from Oregon has been found dead in Larimer County. CPW says initial evidence suggests the wolf likely died of natural causes. Vice President Harris is coming back to Colorado. This time she'll give the commencement speech when the Air Force Academy's class of 24 graduates next month. Last year, President Biden was the speaker. It just keeps getting better and better. That's coming up next month. President Biden says he'll sign the new foreign aid bill into law today. The Senate passed the $95 billion emergency deal, which goes to Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the Indo-Pacific. The bill also laid the groundwork to ban the social media app TikTok in the U.S. However, we see what's happening at the southern border. Nothing helped with that in the package. House Speaker Mike Johnson will meet with Jewish students today at Columbia. Early this morning, Columbia University said that Hamas supporters agreed to remove some tents to make non-student protesters leave and to bar harassing language, real harassing language directed at Jews and other students, delaying possible police action for 48 hours. 45 in Thornton, 46 in Englewood, and it's 48 in Denver.
Look out, Drake out of the way, it's in front, open net, Parisi scores!
The Avalanche tied their series at 1 apiece with a victory over Winnipeg last night, 5-2. They return home for Game 3 Friday. Nuggets Game 3 in LA tomorrow night. Opening round series, Denver leads 2-0.
Bases loaded, no one out. Brendan Rodgers at the plate. And this ball hammered deep left field. Take a good look. You will see it for life.
Drew Goodman calls it, and Brendan Rodgers belts it, a fourth inning grand slam, and the Rockies beat the Padres 7-4 Tuesday. Back tonight at Coors Field. CU losing running back Dylan Edwards, one of their best players on their team, the leading rusher. Plenty of speed, quickness, a really good player. He was the leading rusher in 2023. All right, Jeff and Bill continue on Hump Day Wednesday. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for temperatures to be quite mild today and tomorrow. Then we're going to cool off for Friday and the weekend with some shower and thunderstorm chances. Today it'll be partly cloudy, mid to upper 70s. Lows tonight, mid to upper 40s. There will be a chance of an isolated shower thunderstorm towards late afternoon and evening. Mid-70s Thursday, breezy. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms lingering into Thursday night. A cooling trend with scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Meteorologist on Day 710 KNUS. The 710 5-day forecast calls for temperatures.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. So you're probably tracking, or at least you've seen these headlines about all these protests that are taking place on college campuses that have now reemerged about the Israel-Hamas war and all that stuff. We're going to get to that in just a second because this could get a lot bigger. This could get way, way bigger. Article in the Free Press yesterday. Activists are planning to basically resurrect 1968 DNC protests over this.
Wow.
In a room full of 450 far-left activists, a leader with a Freedom Road Socialist organization kicks off the chant, "Protest is a right, not just for the rich and white." Have you heard that the Democrat National Convention is coming to Chicago? Are we going to let them come here without a protest? This is Chicago. We've got to give them a 1968 kind of welcome.
Jeez.
In 1968, the Democrat Convention in Chicago was a bloodbath with 600 arrests in one street battle that was broadcast all over the world. And the group that met here last Saturday in the local headquarters of the Teamsters unions wants to repeat history when Joe Biden is named the presidential nominee at the DNC this August. They opposed the president. They called Genocide Joe for backing Israel in its war against Hamas.
Rich white people at the protests? I haven't seen that a lot. I'm just saying.
Well, you're seeing them on college campuses right now.
But even then, I mean, some of it, yeah. But the part that I understand, it makes the rhyme work. But come on. And again, this is the conversation we had yesterday. If Joe Biden is not elected, chances are you're going to get Trump. Is that going to be closer or further away from the result you want? If it is further away, Perhaps you should put down the hammer and stop smacking yourself in the face. Just a thought.
If this goes that way, 1968,
oh yeah,
that big, I mean, look, Joe Biden's winning by tiny percentages in a few of these states. You end up with that type of big of a protest broadcast for the whole world and country to see. Yeah, could it be a big deal for Joe Biden? I'd love to get calls on this. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. How big of an issue, how bad of an issue are these pro-Hamas protests for Joe Biden right now?
And
how big of an issue are these?
And how badly do they want to get Trump elected?
Yeah,
that'll be the end result. That's that. That is it. It's a cursed monkey paw, kids. Yeah. How badly do you want to see another Trump administration?
Raphael, you're going to be up in just a second. Men, you've heard a lot about how treating low testosterone can improve your sleep, your workouts, and your energy levels and more. But I want to talk to you about your love drive, because low testosterone can have a significant impact on your desire for intimacy. And if you're in a relationship or wanting to be in a relationship, a low love drive can really be a problem. There's good news. Go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com and take the low T quiz on their website. It's a simple 10-question quiz with yes or no answers, and it only takes 2 minutes. Then schedule a consult with Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic. A Colorado licensed medical provider will review your results with you and discuss your options. Cost of the appointment's only $99, which includes medical consult, T and PSA test. And if you sign up for testosterone treatment the day of your appointment, that visit's free. Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic has served the Front Range of Colorado for nearly a decade and successfully treated tens of thousands of men. Give them a call today at 720-440-7900. That's 720-440-7900, or visit RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. Denver, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff and Bill. Thank you for taking my call, and I'm listening to your show like I do every day.
Oh, thank you.
And,
but you can go to the store and get a different radio, one that works, that can change the channel and turns on and off. I'm just saying, it sounds like it's broken. I'm just trying to help you out.
Peter Boyles, I like you, and that's the only this show on Peter Boyles. That's it.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, I would just want to make a little comment about the guy that you guys have a few minutes ago, the representative from Aurora. He was complaining about, how to hold people, illegal, undocumented. And he mentioned something important to me, that he said, he should be able to hold it whatever he wants, or the way that he wants it, or the way that he thinks that is the right thing. But what caught my attention is that he said, oh, I'm from Italian descendant.
Yeah.
But if I believe, they used to call Italians WAPs.
Yeah,
and they didn't like it. They complained, and they didn't like it as of today. So, it's just, I see both points, but we cannot just, if it's good for one, it has to be good for the other one, or not for neither one.
Do you put phrases like illegal alien in the same category as those words that are considered derogatory, like what they said about Italians or Hispanics? Yeah. There's a lot. I'm not going to say them. There's a lot more derogatory words you could say about Hispanics, Italians, Poles, Germans. Do you put that term illegal alien in the same category as those?
Yeah, I think so. To me, undocumented, it will be the right term, but it's just my opinion,
Yeah, I appreciate that, Raphael. Help me understand the difference in your mind between undocumented and illegal. What's the difference in those terms, and why do you feel undocumented is better than illegal?
Illegal sounds like illegal drug, Undocumented is, we human beings, we just not have the right paper to become a documented person, But at some point, everybody came to this country illegal because there was no borders. Yeah. Now that there is borders, we have to respect them. But like I say, Italians didn't like when they called them WAPs. I mean, and I don't agree with that, you know?
I like your point. I see that. And this is where I can find some commonality with you is I believe if you are using illegal alien as a pejorative, if I'm standing in front of you or anybody else that could be from Africa or China or hell, Canada, America's hat. They like it when I say it that way. And say, hey, you're here illegally. And I'm using it as a pejorative to attack you. I can see that. But when we're talking in a debate structure about someone that is here illegally, I do feel in that structure, it's accurate. And the other thing that I feel creates a buffer is it's during debate in a legislative session, and it's not about calling out a group of people and describing them one way. That's why I agree with the ban on things like they're all criminals. That I think is a pejorative used to color the debate. But can you understand that in a debate, using the term illegal, while you may not like it, could be accurate?
Yeah, I understand that, but I mean, it shouldn't be banning of anything. It should be common sense of the person.
That's a good point, man.
Common sense. We shouldn't ban in nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just common sense. When they don't like it, well, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
What can I tell you?
I appreciate that. Now, Raphael, this is just a total personal question. You don't have to address this in any way, shape, or form if you don't want to. But I want to talk to you about your interactions with people in Colorado, given the immigration situation. And what I'm looking for is, have you bumped into situations in your life where someone makes a snap judgment about you being in the country legally or illegally simply because of the way you either look or talk? Has that happened to you at all?
Never in my life.
Good.
I never feel any discrimination from nobody. Matter of fact, the only people that helped me when I came to this country and when I moved into Colorado, it was Anglo people. And I'm very grateful from them. I was sleeping on the streets because I didn't have nothing when I moved to Colorado. And these people from Highland Ranch, I started working for them, and they told me, come and live with us.
Wow.
And they gave me job, they gave me house, and they loaned me money to buy my first car, and then loaned me money for the down payment of my first house. So I'm very grateful for them. And I have nothing bad to say about nobody.
Oh, Raphael, I got to tell you, okay, you have lifted my heart and my spirit this morning, because I was afraid of asking that question, because I am really afraid that as a society, we are going to start using stereotypes and feel that every time we see someone that looks like they're Hispanic or maybe even looks like they're African, that somehow they're illegal because of the situation at our border. And the fact that you have been treated so well by Coloradans lifts my heart and spirit. I really appreciate it. I got to thank everyone out there listening. Thank you for treating people like Raphael, who may look differently than some of us real pale Irish and, Italian people. I appreciate it. I thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate listening.
Thank you, Bill. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, man.
Raphael from Denver. Where was he originally from? Did I miss that?
I didn't. I forgot. It's a
We
short-term
gotta get
memory
that.
thing this morning.
Give us a call. His line's
That makes
open.
me happy.
303-696-1971.
Good job.
303-696-1971, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. We're talking about what words you're allowed to say or not say down at the Colorado State Capitol. Democrats handed Republicans a list that included things like illegal alien or banned words.
Yeah.
In other words, is it right for the Colorado Democrats to gavel down? It's not just a recommended list. If Republicans say that, the gavel comes down and we, quote, redirect the conversation.
Yes,
So,
this is the speech police. This is things that are coming out of Orwellians in 1984. This is the idea. They're talking about just redirecting the conversation. How much further can we get to until they're going to have to re-educate you about the language you're using? And Jeff, you got a great point about some of the language that the Republicans should say that the Democrats are mandated to use. Going the other direction, talking about words that we think the Republicans should force the Democrats to have to use. And one of those is
Laken Riley.
Yes.
Laken Riley. Say it's not Lincoln Riley, Joe. Laken Riley.
Nice job. Yeah, that's exactly it. Exactly it, my friend.
We're also talking this headline. Among the activist groups plotting to disrupt the DNC, not the RNC, the DNC. Listen to this other detail. All right. Over a single day, the March on DNC 2024 conference gathered 75 organizations to discuss how they plan to disrupt the DNC convention. Speakers told the crowd how to flood the streets without getting arrested, how to spot members of the Secret Service, how to say death to America in Farsi. At one point, when the news of Iran's attack on Israel spread throughout the room, the crowd erupted in cheers. Later that day, Jerry Boyle, an attorney and volunteer with the National Lawyers Guild, a nonprofit that says it acts as the legal arm of social movements and the conscience of the legal profession, gave a pep talk on how to know your power and overwhelm the police. My colleagues will be here later today for talking about your rights, Boyle told the crowd. Think of it more about power and the risk you present to the police. He told attendees to look out for police carrying mass arrest kits, which he says contains supplies like a bunch of flex cuffs and all the paperwork for a bust. I'm not here to tell you what the law is, Boyle told the crowd. I'm here to tell you what you can get away with.
So let me see here. So a large crowd of people being told what they can get away with, and they're worried about being arrested. That's weird. That's very, very weird. I really question the idea of teaching them how to chant things in Farsi. I mean, here's the idea. Okay, you got to know your audience, and going in there and chanting at them in a language they don't likely understand isn't gonna help. It's like, okay, Jeff, you, me, listener. Oh, hang on, I gotta grab the phone here.
We'll get to that phone in a second.
Yeah,
but
okay.
What we're go ahead, please.
What I want to talk about is this. When I'm scrolling through social media and I see things on my social media feed that are like things like Olivia Rodrigo just talked to so-so and doesn't have the riz to do that. I don't understand what they're saying. I have no clue. I don't get the references.
And you're one of the cool hip older guys too,
but
man.
I can't keep up with the language changes. So that's what it's going to be like. It's going to be like, what? Who's doing what to the shower curtain and why? And how do we involve a dolphin? It doesn't make any sense.
450 left-wing activists have gotten together representing 75 organizations that are planning to disrupt the Democrat National Convention to make it look like 1968 in Chicago. That is wild. Not Donald Trump, not the Republican convention. The Democrat convention is going to be interrupted like that. This is, guys, there is something building here that is kind of BLM-like with regards to the size of the protests that could break out. And it is targeted at Joe Biden. I mean, you remember the size and breadth of those protests in the summer of 2020 that was targeted, yes, it was BLM, but that was really, I think, more targeted at Donald Trump. That type of uproar, disruption, because what it does is send a message that the current leader of our country is not in control of this country.
Yeah.
And it creates a sense of frustration, of disunity, of discord that's taking place in this country. And it sends a kind of underlying message that there needs to be a change. And they're doing it to Joe Biden.
Yeah. And I hope they understand that this election is going to be won in the margins. And these type of things are going to push people in the margins that you need in the swing state to vote for Trump, in my opinion. There are going to be people that are going to be repulsed by this push and the idea that they want the U.S. to tack further towards supporting groups like Hamas and to be more deferential to Iran. That's not going to play. And one of the strongest constituents the Democrats have had in recent memory are Jewish liberals. They need them, but Jewish liberals are not screaming leftists. They're not the Bernie Sanders.
No.
They would be considered, in my mind, a conservative Democrat to a liberal Republican. That's normally the lanes on the road in which they occupy. And this is going to alienate them and has the potential to alienate enough to put Trump back in the White House.
We have, here's the thinking behind this group. Because we have similar thinking sometimes on the right.
Yeah.
Which is, I can lose this election. Yes. I can permanently alter the future of the Democrat Party too. And that's more important to me.
Okay.
So what they could do is if Joe Biden loses because of these protests, the Democrat Party will have to pivot, or at least in their minds, they will have to pivot and go, we can no longer support Israel. Then you've got a major U.S. party that is in support of the kind of Hamas anti-Israel thinking, and they'd be willing to do it. They would absolutely be willing to sacrifice a one-term Donald Trump and go, because we have a similar thinking sometimes on the right, which is like, you know what? I'd be willing to lose this election so that I get whatever my way within the Republican Party, and we send a strong message within the Republican Party.
Lose the battle to win the war. And again, I hate to make this a soccer reference, but you do this all the time in soccer strategy. When you're trying to set up your defense, you can't cover all the players, so you pick the one or two that can hurt you the least. And so if they're bringing certain people forward, they're going to be one or two of those you just don't defend, because they don't have the ability to hurt you. You'll lose that battle if they get the ball, but the chances of them scoring the goal that's going to change the game, not going to happen. So you're losing the battle in order to win the war.
This wing within the Democrat Party, this far left activists are willing to sacrifice this election if it meant that the Democrat Party abandons Israel. Absolutely. I think that they're willing to do that.
You know, I think it's going to be a surprise for them, though, is if the Democrat Party loses it, they're not abandoning Israel.
Yeah,
they're not.
You think that? I wonder. I really wonder how much longer the commitment among Jews to Democrats is going to be.
See, the thing for me is, and this is the reason why, that I don't believe now the Jews can go and move to our Jewish voters can move towards more conservative voting. All the time. The reason I don't think it will move the vast majority of the Democrat Party, because they're the small, angry minority. And while the Democrats do have a history of sometimes letting the minority in the group drive the bus, I don't believe this is one, and only because of this math, that if they become the anti-Israel, pro-Palestine party, I believe that's taking a position that is so antithetical to so many voters in America, they resign themselves to be a minority party. If they want to continue to lose elections, you want to lose national down to local, go right ahead and say no more Israel. We're not going to support them, and you're going to lose
never underestimate a party's willingness to become a minority.
Oh, absolutely, especially the Democrats. They're pretty good at the times.
In Colorado too.
I know.
Another party.
Yeah.
Joan, we're going to get to you in just a second. There's a lot to consider when it comes to higher education. The college experience can either build a student's faith up with knowledge and understanding, or tear it down. At Colorado Christian University, they aim to strengthen their students' Christian faith because they believe that everything depends on it. CCU's academic and student development programs cultivate a deep and enduring faith that affirms the authority of Scripture and embraces Christ as the authentic center of life. What does this look like week to week at CCU? All students are placed in a discipleship group freshman year. Their campus ministries department creates space for spiritual formation through weekly chapels, service opportunities, and international missions. And every student graduates with an emphasis in biblical studies, taught by expert faculty in their field, Old and New Testament, theology, and church history. At CCU, they consider faith the most important thing a student can take with them into their future career. To learn more and apply, go to ccu.edu/apply. That's ccu.edu/apply. By the way, speaking of CCU, when you look at all those protests happening on college campuses, just last December, CCU raised $1 million to save Jewish lives, and held a big night called CCU for Israel.
I do have to share something, because again, I was a student at CCU for a couple of years. And one of the strangest things that I remember seeing on campus were the big buses pulling up that said "Jews for Jesus."
Yeah,
I went, wait, hang on. If I was, if I had these smartphones and stuff back in the day, because we had the dumb phones, I'd been taking pictures.
There's old churches, Messianic Jews, all that stuff.
Something I hadn't been exposed to. That was one of the things. I'm like, hang on, wait a minute. I was so confused, but it was good. It was good to meet them. Yeah.
Let's go to Joan in Lakewood. Speaking of Lakewood, Joan, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to say that this is not, it's happening in municipal city councils as well. On Monday night, there was more than 16 people who had signed up to encourage the Lakewood City Council to put out a ceasefire resolution.
Lakewood. Lakewood in the middle of Colorado has so much to do with the ceasefire in Israel. Oh my goodness. I think the Aurora City Council stopped doing these, right? They specifically were like, we're not going to do these mission type of image.
Here's the thing, though, is that, I mean, Joan and Jeff, you have to understand that during the last time of the meeting of the Knesset in Israel and the last strategy meeting that Netanyahu was having, they stopped everything because they said, wait, I need to know what the Lakewood City Council thinks. Hold on. We are not going to make a single military choice at all until we figure out what the Lakewood City Council says about this. After that, gentlemen, we can proceed.
Joan,
obviously.
What was the feeling in the room? Go ahead.
It gets worse because there was one supporter for Israel as a councilman, and one of the councilwomen, Jeslyn, said made a motion to silence him about what he wanted to say. And Wendy Strom, the mayor, actually voted yes for this, and they actually censored a councilman. You really need to go, Bill, and look at the last half of what happened in that city council meeting and take some of those clips, because it was not right. It was not right. And the part that was really harsh is that I sat there and I listened to this one woman going, from the river to the sea, this and this, from the river to the sea. She must have said from the river to the sea.
That's a hate chant.
Times.
That is like that is calling for the death of Jews, essentially.
Yeah. Did anybody ask her about the chant and what that means?
Nobody did. The city council in Lakewood has become just a really interesting situation. They have moved their public comment from around 6 o'clock, where it used to always be, till after all the business is done. So now we're here at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Did they pass the resolution in support of Palestine?
No, I don't think so.
Now, Joan, I would not recommend you doing this, Joan, but I would recommend anyone at the Lakewood City Council meeting or any time that you encounter an individual who uses the phrase from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, I would encourage you to ask two questions. The first one is, what are we doing with the state of Israel and the Jewish people that live there now? And then follow that up with, is your solution relocating or the funny showers that Adolf Hitler had? What's your choice? Ask the question. Because that's what they're advocating for. If they're advocating from the river to the sea, in my opinion, they're advocating for the shower solution rather than the relocation solution.
Well, I know that you're working really hard on Lakewood because apparently Lakewood has its reputation for being, the family socialist Democrat Party people. And the fact that they shut down one of the councilmen just reinforces that. We have a real split coming with the Democrats in Lakewood because they're mad about some of the decisions that have been made about development, and it's not the Republicans, it's the Democrats that are upset that they're doing this with open space and land and stuff. I did go down to the Colorado Assembly yesterday. I was going to testify against House Bill 241313, and the Senate was fighting so hard they were still on the floor at like 4:30.
Wow. Well, Joan, I appreciate you keeping us up to date on what's happening on local city councils. That matters a lot to us. So if any of our other listeners, if you're at Aurora, if you're at Douglas County or any of the Arvada, if you're attending these local events that Bill and I just don't have the ability to get to all of them, give us a call so we can hear what's happening there. Joan from Lakewood, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill show. Guys, for those of you with a full head of hair, congratulations. Studies show that one of the most attractive physical features is a full head of hair. Want to know the least attractive and most aging? Well, it's hair loss. No amount of car, house, or success can make up for that thinning or balding, as it leaves the greatest lasting physical impression. It doesn't have to be that way. Advanced Hair has the quick one-day solution to your hair loss. No more expensive pills or special shampoos, just your very own natural hair guaranteed to grow. And with Advanced Hair, your new hair can grow for life. Advanced Hair has improved tens of thousands of lives, including top radio personalities across the country. Did I mention your own natural hair begins to regrow the very next day? For a free consultation, call 720-459-HAIR, 720-459-HAIR. And if you qualify, get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. You can also visit online at advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. We'll continue with these conversations and more. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
At this hour in London, I'm Julia Chapman, and here are the top stories we're following. Donald Trump says the gag order imposed on him is impacting his freedom of speech. The comments came after a hearing on whether the former president has been violating that gag order. The restrictions were introduced by the judge in his criminal hush money trial in an effort to prevent him from attacking witnesses. Prosecutors allege that Trump has violated the gag order 11 times, while he insists he did nothing wrong. Secretary of State Antony Blinken arrives in China on Wednesday, where he'll meet senior Chinese officials, including Foreign Minister Wang Yi. Laura Westbrook has more.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will meet business leaders in Shanghai before heading to Beijing for talks with China's top diplomat Wang Yi, as well as a likely meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He is likely to press China to try to get them on side in stopping Chinese companies funding Russia's war effort in Ukraine, as well as their help in trying to de-escalate the growing conflict in the Middle East. China, for its part, has said that relations have stabilized of late, but it has called Washington's allegations of Chinese overcapacity a false narrative.
And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Julia Chapman in London on Salem News Channel.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Having great conversations, everything from the words being restricted down at the state house. If you missed that, House Democrats passed a memo to House Republicans telling them which words they can and cannot say with regards to debating illegal immigration. And if the Republicans used any of these words like illegal alien, you were gavelled down. Bow, 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 bow. The Speaker of the House shutting off your microphone and, quote, redirecting conversation. How does that make you feel as a Coloradan, that happening down there? Isn't this the place where the Constitution should have the greatest protections? What about free speech? Give me a call, 303-696-1971. Speaking of free speech and protests, the DNC, not the RNC, not Donald Trump, the DNC is facing, at least right now, by their count, 75 organizations made up of far left activists that are ready to march on the DNC in Chicago and essentially relive the 1968 Democrat convention, which was a bloodbath where there were 600 arrests in one street battle. This isn't the Republicans that are having these problems with mass protests and leftists showing up. It's the Democrats, and it's because of Joe Biden's support for Israel. And if this election comes down to just a handful of percentage points, this could be the deal breaker. Is it shocking to you that they're going after Joe Biden so much? To Bill's point, right? To Bill's point that if they lose, they're going to get Donald Trump, who is no friend of Palestine and Hamas. That's what you're going to end up with. But why does it matter for the far left? Because I think they want a wholesale change with the Democrat Party, and they're willing to lose an election over it.
I hadn't thought about that.
So
you might be right that this is a matter of self-immolation, that we are going to douse ourselves in gasoline and we're going to catch fire. And we are going to have the people in charge do absolutely opposite of what we want and say we support in order to get our way. And I am just not convinced they're going to get their way. You're not going to drive the American Democrat Party to be anti-Israel. There are portions of the party that are.
I think it's a lot closer.
Oh, I don't think so.
Let's go to Jay in Denver. Jay, you're on the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. Good morning, Jay.
Hi, good morning. Great show. Billy just mentioned river to the sea is compared to the Hitler shower. I say river to the sea is compared to Hitler saying, "Get in my oven." That's how vicious that statement is.
I would agree.
Well, I mean, the shower comment you were making was the idea that that's where the Jews died.
Yeah, same
right?
thing.
So,
that's what they're doing.
Get in my oven.
Yep, that's exactly it.
And then on your illegal alien comment earlier, I have a couple of kinder terms. One is southern visitor, and the other is kind trespasser for the Democrats.
Kind trespasser.
I like that. That's a good one.
Kind trespasser.
That is good.
Southern visitor.
I mean, you see it with their phrase newcomer, right? In that phrase, with the use newcomer, you have no indication whatsoever with regards to their legal status. It's purely an open border statement, right?
Yeah.
Like newcomer. Well, you could be a totally legal newcomer. You could be a totally illegal newcomer, but we're not even using those qualifications. We're just using newcomer. It is completely rooted in the idea of open borders. Just come on in, man. We got the services for you.
Well, the gentleman that called in earlier that was given opportunities from the U.S. people here in Colorado reminded me of my grandfather who came over in 1901, where they gave him a place to live and helped him out. What a great call. What are the antithesis of the Democratic Party now? And that man that called in earlier, I forget his name, but it was very invigorating. That's probably the primary reason why. Yes, excellent story.
Jay, I appreciate it. Jay from Denver, his line will be open. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. In the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to host Gay Ribble. Gay Ribble and the Power Home team are really, high quality real estate salespeople. They guarantee the sale, ensuring a seamless process. They eliminate the stress while getting you the best price. You actually get paid twice with their Sell with Certainty program. Your home is a significant asset, and choosing the right team to help you sell it can be all the difference in thousands of dollars in your pocket. I highly recommend Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team, the realtors I trust. Empower Home Team provides exceptional service, invaluable advice, and employs unique systems to maximize the money you can get for your home. What do we mean by that? Well, if you're getting an offer for your home's asking price is great, but you're still leaving money on the table because you're not working with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. They get their clients an average of $30,000 more because they have 14,000 pre-approved buyers in their database. Isn't that amazing? Unbeatable offer from Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. They will sell your house for 100% of the asking price, or Gay will pay you the difference. It's an offer you simply cannot refuse. Get 100% of your asking price guaranteed with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. Give them a call, 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. She'll be in the 9 o'clock hour. So if you'd like to call in and text questions to her, you can. Here's the question I'm going to have for her. This next generation of buyers, and I want to get into this tomorrow on the show, Bill, what it's like to be 22 right now, looking at the American dream.
Oh, I'm not sure it exists for them. I don't think it does. And I've got
That's
people,
heartbreaking.
And I have people in my family, in my household right now that are between the ages of 25 and 18. So I have a direct conversation. And again, it's anecdotal at best, of them. And no, they do not see the American dream. They view our economy as tilted to the point where the game is fixed. That we are slowly moving towards a caste system, and it's intended that way.
Intended that way. Interesting. All right, I want to have this conversation and more. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
conversation here. Everything from the language restrictions happening down at the state capitol. Republicans can't use the term illegal alien or illegal immigrant without the Speaker of the House gaveling them down and, quote, redirecting the conversation to this growing protests that are happening on college campuses. They're now planning to take that to the DNC this summer. Hundreds of far left activists and leftist organizations want to disrupt and change the Democrat Party. It's really fascinating stuff. Did you see this little slip of the tongue from Joe Biden?
Oh, no, what?
About who can really be trusted?
Oh, really?
I don't know why we're surprised by Trump. How many times does he have to prove we can't be trusted?
I like the crowd laugh.
Oh,
that's funny.
How many times does he have to prove that we can't be trusted?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, Joseph.
This is going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem because, and again, it's because we have a 77-year-old and an 81-year-old running. This is going to happen over and over. I mean, you heard in some of the recent rallies where Trump's like messing up the word Venezuela. Like Venezuela. I mean, he just can't say it. And we're going to have this over and over and over from both of them. It's
there you
gonna
go.
Be no fun at
Hey,
all.
with all the work I've had done to my teeth, believe me, finding a good dentist makes all the difference. I'd like to tell you about Dr. Mike at Rocky Mountain Dental Group. He helps provide people like you and me help us look and feel amazing by providing the best dental care available. You can see for yourself all the 5-star reviews at RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. Here's one. Do yourself a favor. Go there. Staff goes beyond expectations, and they provide excellent service, affordable, friendly, reasonable, gentle, careful, kind service. And if you are experiencing recession on your upper or lower gums, ask Dr. Mike about the groundbreaking procedure called Pinhole Gum Rejuvenation Technique, a treatment option for those experiencing receding gums. It's scalpel-free, suture-free, and a graft-free procedure. Just a tiny pinhole and a gentle repositioning of the gums. Visit RockyMountainDentalGroup.com. That's RockyMountainDentalGroup.com or call 303-233-1335 for a free consultation. That's 303-233-1335. Bill, I have an idea for us.
Yes,
I'd love to know if our listeners
again,
think this would be a good idea.
Ooh, what is it?
You know how last week
do I have to wear?
did the breakfast?
Oh, yeah.
And met with people? What if you and I went to college campuses and kind of did the Charlie Kirk like discussion with college students?
Oh, that'd be fun.
You, me, and we set up a booth and we allow the college students to come and just ask questions. Socialism, Hamas, Israel.
That'd be great.
And then we take the show on the road a little bit.
One condition. I get to wear one of those hats that has the beer thing on either side of the straw. If I can do that, I'm in, my friend.
Then we're back into your college days again.
Exactly.
Gay Ribble joins us in the 9 o'clock hour. You're not going to want to miss it. She'll take your calls and texts as well. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Yep, Jeff and Bill's back. If you can hear us, we're still here.
Machine is frozen. I'm going to make sure that we're on the air here. I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to do this.
I will talk as if we are on the air.
Yeah, we should. We should be on the air there, but oh, good. There. Now it's not the frozen thing. I think we're back. I don't know. That was very strange. Just stop playing the stuff. I think we're good.
9 a.m. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show on 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, center, and sometimes it's a little crazy. It's going to be another beautiful day in the Mile High City, and we're gearing up for another hour of engaging discussions, critical analysis, and most importantly, your calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So add that fourth cup of coffee to your morning, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up in just a second, you know the name. Gay Ribble joins us live in studio. She's going to take your calls, texts, questions you have about the real estate industry. How do you get a starter home going for the next generation? Where interest rates going to go? What happened with that settlement on commission? She's going to answer all those questions for you. So stick around. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. Let's check in on the news with Blake Olson. Good morning, Blake.
Oh, good morning, Jeff and Billy. 53 and sunny in Denver, expecting highs in the upper 70s. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story.
Americans have trouble facing the truth, so they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation.
The First Amendment. Colorado Representative Ty Winter says House Democrats trying to control speech at the state capitol. He says it's been going on all year. They don't want to hear words like
alien, illegal, undocumented, invader, squatter, fresh off the boat. That's just a handful of the words that were on the list, sir. But what made it really hard is, especially when Rep. Ron Weinberg got up there, he immigrated here from South Africa, got up and started to tell his story, and immediately was gabbled. And all the time we hear about lived experience in these chambers and somebody being able to, speak their lived experience. And it just blew my mind, especially when Rep. Weinberg was redirected and gabbled and basically given the outline of how the speech was going to go for the day.
God, what are we in East Berlin in 1940?
If I didn't know you, I would even think that you were German soldiers myself.
All right, a Democratic judge in Texas dropping the riot charge against more than 100 illegal immigrants who were caught on camera storming the border in El Paso. The city's DA, Bill Hicks, believes the ruling is unfair.
To approach our country, to tear down walls, to endanger people's lives, we've got to take a stand.
Yes, we do. President Biden says he signed the new foreign aid bill into law. The Senate passed the $95 billion emergency deal, which goes to Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and the Indo-Pacific. The bill also laid the groundwork to ban the social media app TikTok in the U.S. However, once again, not much being done at the southern border. House Speaker Mike Johnson will meet with Jewish students today at Columbia University. Early this morning, Columbia said that Hamas supporters agreed to remove some tents to make non-student protesters leave and to bar harassing language directed at Jews and other students. But they're popping up once again around the campus this morning. So who knows what's going to happen there the rest of the day. They said it would delay possible police action for 48 hours. The U.S. Supreme Court set to hear a case involving emergency abortions. The High Court will hear oral arguments today on whether emergency rooms in Idaho can provide abortions to a woman whose health is at risk. Vice President Kamala Harris coming back to Colorado. This time she'll give the commencement speech when the Air Force Academy's class of 24 graduates next month. Last year, you may remember this. Do you remember this? Do you remember when Biden couldn't find his way off the stage?
Yes, tripped. He tripped over a sandbag.
Oh man, every day he is totally lost up there.
I wonder how the students feel. Like
the cadets have to feel horrible
when you get the opportunity for like a commencement speaker, right? Sometimes they're movie stars. It's Denzel Washington or it's Steve Jobs and like these great iconic speeches.
A general,
man,
who's not woke, maybe,
and then Kamala,
cadets at the academy, and then I feel bad for him. I really do. Man, who knows? Maybe it'll rain that day. 40 to. No, I don't want that to happen to him either. I love when the jets fly over. God, it's so bad. Thankfully, let's see that. What was that? Colonel or transgendered colonel speaking about 2 months ago. Thankfully, she's not talking to he or whatever. All right, it's 49 in North Glen, 50 in Littleton, 53 in Denver.
Look out, Craig out of the way, it's in front. Open net, Parisi scores!
Avalanche tied their series at 1 apiece with a victory over Winnipeg last night, 5-2. They return home for Game 3 Friday. The Nuggets Game 3 in LA tomorrow. Nikola Jokic's brother, one of his brothers, caught on video punching someone in the stands. The guy took a serious right hand. He's going to have a payday coming
and
up
stood
soon.
there too.
Yeah,
took that punch and just. I mean, he wasn't even like one of those clowns that goes down and comes back up. It was, he just took it to the face like it was a slight breeze, which I think is the bigger insult to the Jokic. Yeah, the Jokic is going to have to pay, but they have the money.
Yeah,
but that guy
no
took
doubt.
a punch from a Jokic brother like it was a slight breeze.
Right. No, he did. I give him credit. I don't know what he was saying, but man, that thing had to hurt. My jaw hurts just watching it.
Bases loaded, no one out. Brendan Rodgers at the plate. And this ball hammered deep left field. Take a good look. You won't see it for long.
All right, Drew Goodman and Brendan Rodgers belted the 4th inning grand slam of the Rockies. They win. They beat the Padres 7-4. And back at it at Coors Field tonight if you want to go out and see some baseball. And that does it for me. You guys have a great rest of your day. In the 9 o'clock hour, Jeff and Bill continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
The 710 5-day forecast calls for temperatures to be quite mild today and tomorrow. Then we're going to cool off for Friday and the weekend with some shower and thunderstorm chances. Today it'll be partly cloudy, mid to upper 70s. Lows tonight, mid to upper 40s. There will be a chance of an isolated shower thunderstorm towards late afternoon and evening. Mid-70s Thursday, breezy. Afternoon showers and thunderstorms lingering into Thursday night. A cooling trend with scattered showers and thunderstorms Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. Lynn Cottrell from Aurora. You're on the Jeff and Bill show. Good morning, Lynn.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, you've got something going on with the Arapahoe County and the Lincoln Day dinner, a special announcement that we'd like to share with the audience to sell tickets, but also to tell them that a friend of the show is going to be joining y'all.
Yes, Isabel Brown. You had her on your show a few weeks ago.
That's right.
And,
she won the Western Conservative Summit under 30 speech contest in like 2017. She's been, it's been fun to watch her. She's now a mega conservative star, and you all got her. That's fantastic, Lynn.
We did. We are really excited to have her. And, you know, she is really giving hope to us now. She has a hopeful message that we need because not much is very uplifting these days. But anyway, because she's talking about how Gen Z is becoming more conservative, that they're rebelling against like kids rebel against previous generation. She said Gen Zs are doing that now. They want homes, they want kids, they want to get married. It's just really exciting.
It is. And she's a young lady. She's just about to get married. She's Catholic and is from Colorado originally, from Evergreen area. So you will have a fantastic evening with her as a speaker. It'll be optimistic, uplifting. Lynn, how do people learn more about the Lincoln Day dinner y'all are hosting?
Well, they go to ArapahoeRepublicans.org. And Arapahoe County is pretty liberal, but we won some conservative seats in the Aurora City Council, which shows that conservatives can win in Arapahoe County, especially with the state of things as they are now. So we need to support.
I am so impressed with Aurora's leadership because, look, growing up, Aurora wasn't the way it is today. It's actually gotten nicer. It's like one of the few areas in Colorado that gets nicer. And in part because of the leadership of the mayor, Mike Kaufman, and the city council, which is majority made up of conservatives. Are they planning to be at the Lincoln Day dinner? Have you heard from the leadership of Aurora? Will they be there?
They can't. They've got something in D.C. Something with cities that they have to be gone, but they're supporting it, and we have silent auction things from them and others, and great auction items. So
what was the date, time, and website again, Lynn?
Okay, it's May 3rd, Friday, and reservations are due by this Friday. So people need to hurry and get their reservations in. It's at the the DoubleTree Hotel on Orchard, just west of I-25. So it starts at 5:30, and ArapahoeRepublicans.org.
ArapahoeRepublicans.org, their Lincoln Day dinner featuring Isabel Brown, good friend of the show, and Coloradan. Lynn, thanks so much for being on the Jeff and Bill Show. Appreciate the call. All right, joining us live in studio, you know the name. Gay Ribble is going to talk to us all about the real estate industry here in Colorado. And first of all, tell us how it's going. How are sales going?
Yeah, well, we're seeing the spring season is usually our best season of the year, and it got to a kind of a slow start, but it's picking up.
Good.
And we've got people out there, and the houses that are showing, if they show really well and they're priced well, we're getting multiple offers on them.
Good.
If they're priced too high, they sit. So, pricing is really the name of the game. And having it show well. So it's a beauty contest and a price strategy. And if you win both of those, you'll get your house sold.
Talking with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. If you have a question for her, give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710KNUS app. What parts of town are doing better than others?
We have seen a lot of interest in the outskirts of town just because it's a little less expensive. A lot of growth in northern Colorado. So all the way along the I-25 corridor, all the way up to Fort Collins. Even Wellington is growing and doing well. But really, there's an inventory shortage still. Right now, we're at about 6,500 houses on the market. We like to see 10,000 for a balanced market. So it's still a bit of a seller's market, but we're increasing our inventory, which actually helps. And that's really just because days on market, houses are sitting longer, so they're stacking up a bit.
Let's talk a little bit about the interest rates.
Yep.
Where are those currently at, and where's it been? I'll tell you, just from my perspective, what happened to us. We kind of bought our forever home, I think. So I don't even really pay attention to it that much, but you do. So give me a sense. Is it better than it was? Is it worse than it was? Where are we at?
It's not better.
No,
it's not better. No, we've seen actually some, good economic reports when it comes to unemployment and things like that, but that actually doesn't help interest rates. That makes interest rates go up because people have more buying power. So actually unemployment will help the market, doesn't necessarily help the economy. So it's interesting. We're right now still pushing about 8%.
Okay.
And that's as high as we've seen for many years. This time last year, it was about 1% lower. And so the market was a little healthier this time last year than it is
it's gone
this
up.
year.
It's up a percentage point from last year.
Yeah. So, and that lasted just for a short while last year. And then in the summer, it started to go up. So, we saw it go down a bit in the first part of the year, December, January, it went down a bit. I think people were waiting, thinking they're going to go down more. We've, of course, heard different things from the Federal Reserve, that they intend to lower the rates, and then they recant that a couple of days after they say it. So, really, with all of the economists that I'm listening to, what I am hearing is the market of the day is the market of the next several years. So it's probably not going to really change a whole lot. We are kind of where we are. I'm not telling people wait for interest rates to come down, because we're not really thinking they probably are. If they do, it might be for a minute, just with the presidential election. But even with that, it's hard to say right now. It's not really looking that way. So, kind of settle into what we have, because this is what the housing market of the day is, and it's going to be for a while.
So tell us, I mean, that's not always a bad thing, right? An 8% interest rate. Yeah. For getting locked into a 30-year mortgage, that type of thing. That's a bit of a stretch, but it's not always necessarily the worst thing for different, and it depends on the audience, right? So you were talking about there's not enough inventory. Let's say you're 65, 70 years old. You bought a house 25, 30, 40 years ago. Being able to sell it, and this market's not that bad of a deal right now.
And that's what we see a lot of right now. I would say that the people who are getting up in age a bit are downsizing, wanting to sell the houses with all the stairs. They have bad knees and, don't need the stairs or all the bedrooms anymore. A lot of them are leaving the state. I think we talked about that a bit in the past, but a lot of them are selling out here and going to less expensive places. And those houses, a lot of those houses are being purchased by the younger buyers, and so those neighborhoods are regentrifying. And so, so we see that. And then those people that are selling and have been in their house for 30 years, they have cash. And so that really is kind of keeping the market going. Our 55 and older crowd is out there buying because they're not as dependent on the interest rates. And so that is really where a lot of our inventory is coming from. We don't see as much of the move up buyer right now as we have, but some of the move down and then first time buyers.
Yeah, because that would be the stage that I'm in, the move up, right? Like you got the little house in Highlands Ranch with the kids, but now we want some more space. Interest rates, we bought in 2020. And our interest rate's like around 3% at this point, 3.25. And so, you get some space, and now you got a low interest rate. We'll lock into that 30-year, and we'll just coast for the next 30 years. What do you? Here's a big concern I have, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow on the show more. 23, 24, 25-year-olds. How do you get started in life right now? Back then, you might get an apartment for a few years and build that nest egg to get that down payment. But it just seems like prices and interest rates are out of reach. Is that right? What happens to the next generation?
We're seeing the average age of the first-time home buyer is about 36.
36 is the average age of the first-time home buyer.
So they're not 23 and 24-year-olds. So I do have some thoughts on it, on how do they get in. The first thing is, don't go buy brand new cars. That's what they're doing now, is they're all going and getting brand new, not a nice used car, but a brand new car. And that's sort of like their I've arrived, purchase. Well, that really hurts them. And so we see so many people who actually would be able to qualify, but they have an $800 a month car payment. And that car payment is keeping them from being able to qualify for a loan.
Ooh, so can you explore that a little bit more? And the reason why I want to jump in there is because in that demographic, one of the reasons they're making the new car choice rather than the used car choice is new car interest rates are lower than used car interest rates. So the interest rate and your payment can be lower if you go with a new versus a used, if you're shopping in the same in the same price point. So you can get more bang for your buck going new at this point. But delve into that a little bit more about why that new car purchase, even though it feels good and looks like the right economic choice, ends up preventing you from being able to get into that house.
Well, when you qualify for a mortgage, they look at your income and your debt. And so if you have high debt, and that's both the payment and the balance that they're looking at, how long is that debt going to be going on and that kind of thing, that is really what they are qualifying for. And so if your debt is high, so that's credit card debt, which is at an all-time high, car payments, which is at an all-time high, those are the things that are keeping people from being able to qualify. The other thing that we are seeing, and it's very interesting, is people are trading houses for lifestyle. So vacations, lavish vacations. If you talk to the Gen Zs, if you talk to the 20 and early 30-year-olds, they are taking big trips to expensive places because that's what they like to do. And they're almost deciding that, a house is unattainable. So we'll have the lifestyle instead of being tied down with a house and a mortgage. The problem with that is that even if you are to get in now with interest rates high, and you might not be able to qualify for as much as at one time you could, the rent is going to continue to go up. So today the rent might be manageable, but as prices go up and interest rates and all of those things, rent is going to go up. When you get locked in on a mortgage, other than with taxes and insurance increasing, your mortgage payment is going to stay the same. So you actually do get to catch up and have that lifestyle later down the road. But a lot of what we're seeing with the young ones is that they are trading the lifestyle now, travel, concerts, just doing things that they're spending their money and they're not saving.
And one thing they don't understand is the deductible paid on mortgage interest.
Yeah,
that is
right?
enormous,
Right.
especially when you're starting out.
Yeah.
That first 5 years, that's a difference maker. And the amount of money that they are spending on the lavish travel or even on the new car, they can make that back in some ways based on that mortgage interest deduction. And they don't see that because they don't have any experience. There are a number of new homeowners that are shocked when I tell them the amount of money they're allowed to write off simply because they bought a house this year.
Yep, for sure.
Talking with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. If you are looking for a good realtor, what makes Gay and her team different and unique is, like, a lot of people rely on friends, family members to become their realtors, but you all go for that space of allowing people to have 14,000 plus, I think, right? Pre-screened buyers, which your friends and neighbors and family members that are real estate agents aren't going to have a Rolodex that big. So when somebody comes and uses your service, you open up a whole new opportunity, a whole new suite of services that they're not going to get elsewhere. Tell people about that.
Yeah, well, real estate is very much supply and demand driven. So if you have a small supply, which we have a smaller supply and a high demand, the prices are going to go up. And so we do sell about 20% of our properties off market before they ever hit the market. And with that, people think, well, then you must be selling them for too low. The sellers aren't getting enough. Well, that's really not the case. We bring our buyers in. We have a matching system, a buyer matching system. So it's sort of like an online dating, only it's buyer for seller. So we look at what the house has, and then we match them with the buyers in our database. If it's an 80% match or higher, then we get them through the house. And what we tell our buyers is you have to make an offer so compelling that they don't want to go on the market, right? So we still see more than asking price in many cases. We see, that they give them rent backs and time in the house, things that are compelling and important to our sellers. And so that's why they like to do that. And of course, then they don't have to go through all of the craziness of having people come and, look at their house. We also have some guarantee programs where we can do a guarantee buyout so that you can sell before you buy something else and you already have cash in hand. And so we have programs like that. So we have a lot of things that are not as traditional as what the traditional real estate has been.
So you got to help me with this. All right, Gabe. We're talking with Gay Ribble and Empower Home team. How do you help somebody tell their family members they're not going to use them as a real estate agent?
Yeah.
Like, what's a tip and technique? Like, obviously, I'm talking about just kind of like the emotional pressure, right? That
Yeah.
comes and you're like, I know your family, but I want to get a better price. I want more opportunities. What do you say?
It's an uncomfortable conversation. You know, I'm not going to lie. It's uncomfortable for everybody. It's uncomfortable for the agent as well, the family member agent. But a lot of times what people will just say is, because this is such an emotional purchase for us, we're not always on our best behavior. We're not, the people you know us to be all the time. We really want to keep a separation between family and our agent, just because we don't want it to cause problems down the road.
Yeah,
and
anybody
who's
who's ever hired family members knows that. You make that mistake one time.
Right. And that's what they say. We will refer you to other people, but because you're family, it's just a little too close for us.
I think that's good advice. You can learn more about Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team by calling 833-301-SOLD. That's 833-301-SOLD, or go to gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. We're going to continue this conversation. If you have calls or texts, feel free to give us a call. 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the 710 KNUS app. And Bill and I will take your calls and texts and pass them on over to Gay Ribble. If you have any calls, any questions about this real estate market, how things are going, should you sell now? What should you sell at? How are things going in your area? Is it a good time to sell in your area or not? I'm interested in all that development that's happening out east, because we moved out east and then it felt like Aurora just followed us. Here it comes. And all of a sudden, all these big ranches were being bought up for the land, and now new developments were going in there. Some of the challenges that people have talked about with regards to price here in Colorado, as it deals with developments and maybe condos, is more on the construction defect side, that the lawsuits are there's so much of that going on that is driving up the prices. I know you're not a policy expert on that stuff, but you're nodding your head. Do you see a lot of those lawsuits? And do you think it's contributing to kind of the rise of pricing?
I haven't seen the lawsuits, but I do think just no one's buying or building condos. If you look around, there's a lot of apartments being built, which and there's also what's a lot of being built right now is where one buyer buys the whole development. So we're seeing that where coming in, it's a new housing development. One buyer buys it and they all become rentals. And so
you're seeing that.
Oh yeah,
really?
We are. Yeah. We've got communities in Denver. We've got them all around the country, but we have them in Denver now too. And so they, make them attractive. They're brand new. They all are easy to build, right? So the builders like working with, they're investors, big investors. They like working with them because they have 3 color schemes. No one's coming and saying, I want to change this or I want to do that. So it's a great deal for the investor. It's a great deal for the builder because they don't have home buyers that are, walking the lot every weekend saying, this nail is not in the right spot.
Yeah.
So it goes quicker. But what is happening is wealth is starting to really change hands. And that's the fear, right? Losing the middle class is the fear.
Yeah.
That's the fear with inflation in general, is that we lose the middle class. The people who have money can continue to buy. The people who don't have money will never have the money. And most wealth is built through real estate.
Wow.
Yeah, I was reading something the
impressive.
other day that talked about the Mendoza line in many communities is right around 32%. That if rent or house purchases crest above 32% of the average income in an area, you start seeing homelessness and you start seeing all the negatives because nobody can afford to stay and rent and live in that area. And then you're going to end up with the unhoused. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Denver is absolutely changing. I mean, from where it was when I was a kid to what it's become now, to the fact that all that growth is going east. I mean, it's, in many ways, like with California, they have geographical boundaries. You can't go one direction. Here in Colorado, we just keep going.
Oh yeah, they got that problem in
And-
Seattle. You got a mountain and a big, got a bay, and then you've got
And
an
so,
ocean.
I mean, that's why
And
I
then Canada.
don't think these high density requirements that are coming from the state capital are ever going to make sense. You're not going to turn Denver into Seattle, San Francisco. People are going to drive because so long as it's like even where we are, we're about 45 minutes from Denver Tech Center out in Elizabeth. People are like, yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you can't build on the mountains, on the
Yeah,
face
that's
of
true.
the
That's
mountains.
true.
And so we're landlocked on the west side. So
Yeah.
really, there's just hardly any place to build new on the west side. It's all been done. So you can only go east, south, or north, right? And so they're all outskirts. Consequently, the prices closer to the mountains are more expensive. Of course, we have Boulder that has had a no growth initiative for many years. Golden did that about probably
Do you have
20
thoughts
years
on
ago.
those? Do you have thoughts on those no growth initiatives?
Well, what it's done is it's made Arvada very high priced because people who are living or working in Boulder or Golden couldn't buy there, so they went to Arvada. Well, now that makes Arvada out of price for a lot of people. That the price point is high there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
That's
it just kind of grows to the areas around so that people can be close in, but without being in the actual city.
Wow. Talking with Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team. You can visit her website, gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. So once you get your new home, you got to get new shelves. And I got to talk to you about Roll 'em Out Shelves, good friends and partners of the show. Let me paint you a picture of my recent experience with Joyce and Brent and Roll 'em Out Shelves. It was like having family walk through my door. Seriously, these folks aren't just professionals. They're meticulous, caring, and very personable. Working with them felt like having my mom and brother right there beside me. Kind, considerate, and always making sure everything was just right. And let me tell you, their attention to detail is unparalleled. They measured every nook and cranny, asked all the right questions, and ensured that every shelf and drawer was tailor-made to fit my needs perfectly. The result? Say goodbye to chaos and hello to beautifully organized shelves showcasing all my essentials. But here's the best part. You don't have to break the bank for this transformation. For less than $1,000, you can embark on your very own home makeover journey with rollemoutshelves.com. And let me assure you, those shelves are built to last, crafted with sturdy Baltic birch built right here in Colorado and backed by a lifetime guarantee. You can trust that your space will stay organized for years to come. So what are you waiting for? Give Joyce and Brent, the dynamic duo behind Roll 'em Out Shelves, a call today at 303-475-9601. That's 303-475-9601. Or visit their website, rollemoutshelves.com, for your free in-home estimate. Trust me, folks, the process is a breeze, and you'll never look back. Be sure to tell them Jeff sent you. We'll continue with calls and texts. If you have any for Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team about the housing market, about when to sell, where to sell, how much to sell, all those details, she'll take those calls and texts if you have them. 303-696-1971 or text us on the 710 KNUS app. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Joining us live in the studio is Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. You know that name if you listen to this program regularly. They are the gasoline that allows this show to drive. It's they empower us to be able to have this show. So thank you. First of all, thank you so much for your support of the Jeff and Bill Show and allowing us to be on the air. Gabe, we were talking about off air the importance of helping that next generation get started.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, and to my parents' credit, were very good about this. They set money aside so that we could help put down the down payment to help us when we were just getting started, instead of paying rent and just rent money going out, build that wealth.
Yep.
And I always appreciate my parents doing that. How can parents step in to grandparents help the next generation? Because I don't think they realize how hard it is right now.
Yeah, it's so hard. And as we were talking about, how do young people get started? Really, one of the very best ways is to get a gift of some sort from their parents, their grandparents. There's a lot of wealth sitting with the baby boomers right now. I don't remember the number. It's a staggering number that when the baby boomers start to die, the transfer of wealth that there is. So they're sitting on wealth. They're sitting on all sorts of investments and all sorts of things, and they're set, right? And they're thinking, well, I remember my mom, it was really important to her that she leave some sort of a inheritance, to her family members. And that was important to her. What I really believe in is that you give the inheritance while you're alive, while you're here to see it. And in the form of aid to your children and grandchildren who are trying to get started. Even if it's a matter of you buy the house together, and when they sell, you get paid back, whatever your down payment was. There are cases where we can, fund the mortgage and have them pay 5% to whoever funded it, as opposed to 8% to the bank. That would be a great help. So you don't even have to give it away. You just can lend it to them at a more affordable rate. Are you getting less than you would get in, other investments? Probably, but what you're investing in is your family. There's not a better investment, in my opinion, that you can invest in than your kids and grandkids, and leave that legacy of love behind for them, so that they want to be able to help their generation, the next generations after them. So I am 3 months of being a baby boomer. I identify as a Gen X, but I'm in the baby boomers of the last 3 months of being a baby boomer. And so I know with so many of my friends and people, they've got money and they've got kids, and they've got kids who have needs. They just don't think about it. And what we were talking about is there's a term, sacrificial love, right? And so sacrificial love is when you sacrifice something for you for the benefit of somebody that you love. And so I am a huge, huge believer in sacrificial love, and I see it. The times that I see it, those are the ones that really help those kids to get off on the right foot, even just to get in the market and start seeing the appreciation of the property. So it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be something they own versus rent.
Well, and so I think there's a few things that are happening here. One is traditionally, and rightfully so, parents want their kids to be able to make it on their own, right? I want my kids to be self-sufficient. In case anything ever happens, they're not dependent, right? So you have that natural inclination that you want your kids to be self-sufficient. But I think you have to understand that there's some dynamics that have changed. One, older generations are just living a lot longer than they did previously. So in that case, the wealth is staying with those older generations and not being traditionally handed down. But two, look, as conservatives, we believe in strong family structures and strong family networks, right? So when you say the word aid, I kind of cringed a little bit, because as conservatives, you go, well, we don't believe in aid and the government handouts and the government. It's a little different when you're dealing with your family, because think of the way God set up the family, that they care for each other, that they're there to support one another, that you don't just tuck people away when they become useless in the family. I use that in air quotes, right? Yeah, you invite your grandparents to be part of your kids' lives because of the transmission of values. We don't live life as individual beings. We live our lives in communities. We live our lives with families. And so when families can step up, and Dennis Prager was just talking about this, guys, about if you're frustrated about the fact that your kids are going to a woke school or your grandkids are going to a woke school, you don't want them going to there. And your kids are stretched to the limit, working 2 jobs, trying to make life happen. And you're sitting on a nest egg that could send them to a good private school. You can actually adjust the future of your grandchildren by helping people out. So that idea of sacrificial love, I think that's great.
And you mentioned the Bible and Bible times. Think about the dowries that they used to give, and big dowries, right, to get people started. We don't do that, but there is examples of how that does get you started, right? Is to have some help from your family. It's not a constant handout as they go necessarily, but it is a let me help you get started, so that you can grow your wealth and have security for your family. I mean, just in that alone, kids having to move often because of the price of rent going up and they can't afford to stay there any longer. Those kinds of things are detrimental to our kids and grandkids and ultimately to our society.
We're talking to Gay Ribble of the Empower Home team. You can call her directly or visit her website, gayhasthebuyers.com. That's GAYE hasthebuyers.com. She'll take your questions, get you plugged into their program. Let's talk just briefly. We got a few more minutes here. And if you have a call, feel free to give us a call, 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us. If you have any questions about the real estate market, when's the best time to buy, how to sell, who to work with, all that stuff, we're happy to take your calls and texts here. Talk to us in the last few minutes here about how you serve your customers. Somebody calls 833-301-SOLD, 833-301-SOLD. What's the experience going to be like? Is it a scary experience for them? How are you going to come alongside them and support them? What does that take away the fear from people that may be wanting to call but have never talked to you before?
Really, that's what I love the most. So you can go to Google. I believe our team has more 5-star Google reviews of any real estate team in Denver, and Google Empower Home Team, and you will see for yourself. I spent a bit of time the other day and went couple hours reading them, and out of the reviews,
risky.
I saw one that wasn't good. So yes, but if you do it just because I'm on this show, don't do that, please. But we really hold your hand and take a lot of care. Every member of our team is a licensed realtor. So our transaction manager, our listing manager, they're all licensed. They all get bonuses. So they don't get paid until your house sells. Just like the agent, we want them to have skin in the game too. We want everybody to really stretch for the highest possible outcome for our clients. And so we do professionally stage our properties for free. In most cases, if they're really far out, then there's a extra charge. But anybody within the metro area gets their home staged for free by interior designers. I have a warehouse of about $180,000 worth of decor that we bring in, and will really help with the house. We have all sorts of resources. If you have inherited a home, we've had a lot of hoarder homes that we sell. We have resources that will help with that, because oftentimes people just wait till they really aren't able to sell the house. They need to be out, but they don't have the physical stamina that it takes to get out. And so they stay way too long. Right. And so we have organizers that will come and pack or unpack you. We have all sorts of services. So it really is one-stop shop. And we hold your hand all the way through the process. My background is in social work. And so while I don't practice social work, I do every day, right, with our clients and just taking care of our clients. And one of my superpowers is in hiring other people who embody those same values.
Talking to Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. We're going to continue with her and get to the callers in just a second. Folks, it's Jeff Hunt on behalf of the Colorado Farm Bureau. Whether you pulled out your skis or snowmobiles this last winter, it was a great year for winter fun. But the snow means even more to Colorado agriculture, and I want you to know that our state's farmers and ranchers are doing their part to protect our future water resources. The people of Colorado agriculture continue improving the efficiency of their irrigation systems and adopting farming practices that help crops use less water to grow. They're planting drought-resistant varieties, and they're leading talks with state policymakers about how to preserve water supplies when we have good years like this last one. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families, and they're doing more with less. You can do your part. I recommend you join and become a member today. Go to coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com. We'll get to the calls in just a second. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710, KNUS.
At this hour in London, I'm Julia Chapman, and here are the top stories we're following. The White House says Russia's detention of a U.S. reporter is a sham. Haley Bianco reports.
The United States is unhappy with Russia's latest rejection of an appeal from an imprisoned journalist. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich will remain jailed on espionage charges until at least late June. This comes after a Moscow court rejected his appeal that sought to end his pre-trial detention. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby called it a sham process and said Gershkovich is not a spy, he's not a criminal. Gershkovich was detained more than a year ago.
The foreign aid bill passed by the U.S. Senate on Tuesday also forces the Chinese owner of TikTok to sell the social media platform or face the app being banned. The bill was introduced over fears about national security because of ByteDance's Chinese links. Security experts have warned that the Chinese government could demand sensitive data relating to the 170 million users in the U.S. TikTok says it has never shared that data and never would. ByteDance now has around 9 months to divest from TikTok, during which time it is expected to mount legal challenges to the order. And that's what you need to know at this hour. I'm Julia Chapman in London on Salem News Channel.
Joining us live in studio is Gay Ribble and the Empower Home Team. I just learned this from you all. You support a great organization financially with the Empower Home Team. Tell folks briefly about that.
Yeah, Colorado Christian Services, which is a local adoption agency. They also do a lot of support for birth moms who choose not to relinquish their babies. So they, just really, we just are very pro-life.
I love that.
So, yeah.
So when you work with Gay Ribble, you're working with a team that supports your values. I love it. Jesse
Absolutely.
Durango, real quick, you got a call for Gay Ribble and a question for her. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. Actually, I'm in Greeley. So I wanted to know, Gay, have you ever worked with anyone that is selling the house and then, how the market is pretty high? I mean, the interest. Have they ever told you, I'll work with the seller with a little bit less, like say 6.5%? Have you ever had that, and does it even work?
Well, we do have certain times where people will do seller carry finance. And I actually did meet with a seller, not in Greeley, but recently, who just to be able to sell, it was a house that is, kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And he, has not had good luck with other realtors. And so had me come in and he said, I would give a 5% seller carry finance. And so that's really how it works. So the seller is the one that takes the risk with that and gets the interest on it.
Jesse, I appreciate the call. Wish we could spend more time for you. Give Gay a call at 833-301-SOLD. I'm sure she's happy to take more of your questions. Gay has thebuyers.com, GAYE has thebuyers.com. Thanks so much for being in studio with us.
Always my pleasure.
It's been a wonderful show. You've been listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
News Talk 710 KNUS.